Hey guys, it's been a couple weeks, but we had to be back for conference championships and quite the blockbuster of a hockey trade, but more on that later. Hello, welcome to The House That Happens, sponsored by Shoey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name is Cruz. How you doing, buddy?
Good. We are recording once again from Cruz's Chaos.
I fired the maid again.
Oh no.
It's terrible.
So we promised a couple shows. I ended up getting sick before my trip to Montreal, so we did not record those, but it's good to be back.
The number one thing is your health, and you've recovered quite well. You sound really good.
Thank you.
I'm glad you really had a good trip. I have issues about that day, but we'll discuss them during the course of the show.
Yes. So I guess we can get right into shout-outs. So first of all, I'd like to shout out my buddy Matt. He hosted a boys poker night the night basically before I got sick. A lot of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah. On the way home, I was starting to feel, I'm like, oh no. Were you just
it's in the room.
Yeah.
And they were
no one else got sick though.
Because they were probably sick before because it comes
Maybe.
latent. Is that what they call it?
I don't know.
Who cares? As long as you're better. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. I finished second in the poker game. I should have re-upped. I probably should have won if I would have done that, but I was too stubborn. I didn't want to invest another $20 in the game.
All good.
Yeah.
All good. Winnings is winnings, correct?
Yeah. Well, I didn't win anything. That's a problem.
Oh, second. Yes.
Second,
place.
yeah.
Yes. Did I, and speaking of shout-outs, did I mention last show that perhaps maybe I did? Yes, we discussed my winnings in the past and thanking all those people in the pool for me having the indulgence to get involved for a whole season and has, made my life a little easier lately, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
The other thing I wanted to say is shout out to Tony Springer, Carlos, and I forget the drummer's name. Last night at a little place called Southside down on Lakeshore or on Browns Line, wherever the hell it may be. But sometimes you just got to go out, move your feet, and have a good time. Thanks, Tony and the boys. He said he's going to be listening.
All right.
Yep.
Also, I realized I never shouted out my buddy Dom and Amelia. They had a baby in January. There were some health problems when it happened, so I didn't want to say anything at the time. But thankfully, she is healthy. So I've yet to meet her, but looking forward to it.
Shout out to New Life and congratulations. You got a lifetime of greatness to come before you. I always loved having people when they're having their kids.
Yeah.
Greatest day of your life.
Also like to shout out my lovely girlfriend Radhika, who was my partner going to Montreal last weekend.
Very cool.
Spent 2 nights. Went to Notre Dame Cathedral. Went to Schwartz's Deli. Did not disappoint.
Good.
Oh, it was amazing.
Good.
It was amazing.
We were talking about that. You're very astute about doing those things. My wife, we were talking about it. There's some place that's down on the lakeshore where we got to go. And I said, it's always good when you recommend somewhere to go and you go there and it's as good as you expect it to be or better. Mm-hmm. Because hence when I sent you to Windsor, you've been getting around to good places to eat.
Oh, cool. Well, my goal is to see the Leafs play in all 32 NHL cities and to have each city's kind of like local delicacy, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
so
cool.
Buffalo wings.
Yeah.
Detroit, whatever. I did Windsor pizza instead.
That was a good thing. We're Canadian. At this point in time, we're keeping it Canadian as much as we can.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, we did Primanti Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then Radhika, unfortunately, you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast, but she got me this little thing. I'll show you there, where I can mark each NHL city I've been to. Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
It's got my name there on the side, too. Amazing birthday gift.
Radhika, that's really, really cool. I would like that. And once you're going to mount it somewhere sometime.
Oh, exactly.
You know what I mean? Very, very cool. That's a boy's thing. Guys, I wish you could see it. You should put that on our site.
Yeah.
Show it up there because it looks really cool.
And also, I might be going to Nashville for a game in March.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You going to drive or fly?
I think we'll probably fly.
Yeah, good old Porter gets there. It's the one thing I heard. To Raleigh or something like that?
Yeah, we got planned.
Something like
Nashville,
that. Yeah.
And then if it ends up being Toronto-Ottawa in the first round, I want to go to Ottawa to see at least a game.
Okay, so that means you got to get a packed lunch to go to the arena because it's so far out in the middle of nowhere. Is that?
Yeah, it's like half an hour away from at least where my buddy lives in the city.
To tell you the truth, I haven't been up to a game in years outside of there. I never went to the Forum. I'm just not a traveling guy. But before Canada dies, I will go up there just to see a game because I want to just see the remoteness of it all.
It's not that remote anymore, though, which is kind of the ironic. We talked about this.
It's
because the Canada is developing, but like we said last week, too little, or last show, too little, too late. Yeah. I also went to go see, and also the game we saw in Montreal. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Why?
Short, like, I'll keep it short here, but it was the best hockey game I've seen in my life.
You know,
it beats the Buffalo one last year.
We'll discuss this in a minute. Just, you know what? That's a date in infamy in my life. I'm never gonna forget.
My girlfriend went from teasing me, going like, "Oh, vive la Habitant," then to
oh shit.
The script was flipped in the second period. Let's just say.
We'll get to that. Okay. Speaking of hockey, you got another shout out there?
Oh, I got a bunch here.
Good. Okay.
I went to go see Sonic 3. Shout out, great movie.
We won't talk about Sonic and Knuckles either quite yet. Okay, that's another thing I got to deal with. Yeah. How was the movie though?
It was good. It was a little sappier than the first two, but Keanu Reeves makes a convincing hedgehog.
Okay, that's cool. Was it good dialogue though, eh? Some good dialogue in it?
Well, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey plays himself, and he also plays his character's grandfather, and they have a dance sequence together, which is hilarious.
Okay, good,
yeah.
good. Because I know it's been coming up there. I got to take a look.
It's on like streaming now or whatever.
Yep.
Kind of regret seeing it in a theater full of children. Wish we could have seen the 9 o'clock show, but
that's
neither here nor there. But the kids actually added to the entertainment in some ways.
Agreed. Agreed.
A few deaths, unfortunately, we have to cover. Bob Uecker, who was a play-by-play commentator for the Milwaukee Brewers. He was a regular on The Tonight Show. I believe Johnny Carson called him Mr. Baseball.
He was epic on those shows. When I was a kid, he was on. The great thing about Bob Uecker is you got to think of the Miller beer commercials.
Oh, yeah.
And he did so many things that were cool involving baseball.
I know him as Harry Doyle in Major League as the commentator. He's hilarious in that movie.
Absolutely unbelievable. And it's one of those things in baseball that's a niche thing for them, which is very cool, is that you can take a less than just above a minor league career and turn yourself into a personality by self-depreciation.
Yeah. Oh, he has there's a little featurette on him on the Major League DVD where he's talking about just how like poor of a baseball player he was.
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh man, like I had all these pass balls. It's like if I was the catcher for the whole season, I would have set some sort of record.
Oh yeah. That's what was cool about him. And you know, when he followed in the steps, I don't know if you remember him, but Joe Garagiola. He was the first guy that sort of started that mantle. Another guy, I think he played behind Yogi Berra. Like he was, or one of those Tim McCarver. Like he was the second string catcher that barely got in.
Yeah.
And it was the same type of thing. But the fact that not only is it their personality, Bob Uecker, one of the things that when you listen to him, some nuances of the game that he would brought up will stay on my head forever. Little things that I've learned about how they're going to the warning track. Looks like the next one will be out of here. And what do you mean going to the warning track? Bang, next one's out of the park because they feel the game, shit like that. You know,
well, especially as a catcher, former catcher.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a reason why those guys end up becoming managers.
Joe Garagiola was a catcher too, by the way.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
So yeah, interesting. God bless Bob Uecker.
Yeah, I quote him in Major League all the time, like just a bit outside. That's one of the ones I always go back to the well for.
Yeah.
Also, R.I.P. to David Lynch, one of my favorite film directors. Twin Peaks is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Great.
I love that show so much, so it was sad to see him go.
I went to see the original Dune.
Oh
movie.
Man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did. It was awful.
He actually disowned that movie.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I went to the theater to go see it. Now I haven't seen the new one, and if you look around this room,
it's brilliant. I think you'd like them.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? If you look around on the floor, there's the Dune book, and so I'm going to read the book first. Cause I started reading it years ago, and it takes a while to get into it. It's like one of those. Lord
it
of the
reads
Rings,
like the Bible.
And
we
like
talked about that. Yeah,
I got to get there, but I'm definitely going into it because I seen it at the time. That's when I thought Sting was a complete idiot. When I seen him in the movie, his character was just nothing. Sting's a great, talented guy. I don't want to put down the police or his career. He's just great. Just saying about that. But David Lynch did some cool stuff, and what we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the classic Eraserhead.
Yes.
The classic.
One of the most bizarre movies ever made.
I think I've watched it 3 times and I still haven't figured it out. You know, the dinner table scene is always epic.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Like, I don't know what was going on there. And
like the most terrifying baby ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, I've always respected because if you go and you look at some of the early Rush videos when they're recording in Quebec, above on the studio wall, there's a big picture of Eraserhead in the background all the time. Makes me crack up because Neil Peart had that sense of humor, or someone had that sense of humor, so to speak.
If you've never heard this story, I highly recommend listening to David Lynch talking about being offered Return of the Jedi by George Lucas. It is one of the most hilarious stories ever told. Look it up on YouTube. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, I will.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Okay, I will.
And he would have been, just to think he almost directed a Star Wars movie is like hilarious in and of itself.
Just putting it down that it entered my mind. Interesting.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Shout out to the United States beating Finland 4-3 in overtime to win gold at the World Junior Championship. They were down 3-1 in that game.
I watched it again the other day. Interesting game.
Yeah, that and the bronze medal game was quite entertaining as well. Czechia beating Sweden 3-2 after the 14th round of the shootout.
I know, I was starting to get dizzy. God bless those teams for coming over to our country and doing what they were doing.
Yeah, we have a little bit more to talk about, I guess more related to international hockey in general after, but obviously want to shout out those two teams. Big shout out. Oh,
I was just going to say, with that being said, I want to have a big shout out to Brian Hazy B on Overdrive, because after the tournament, after our performance, whatever we believe happened or didn't say, he came to the plate and said, I don't care what went on here. We are Canada. We should own hockey. We should never forget. We should be as arrogant as the Americans are about basketball. So when you hear the response from the Canadian hierarchy about what happened with the team, screw that. We're Canadians. We want to own hockey. Big shout out to Hazy B for reminding us as Canadians. They didn't pull that TV in 1972 when I was 13. They didn't pull that TV into the classroom so we could watch the game for, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever historical value our country has. That's a key moment there.
Sure.
A huge shout out to that. And anybody that doesn't believe that, look what else is going on in the world. Today, our sovereignty as Canadians, I'm very proud to be one. And I want to own hockey.
Absolutely. Speaking of hockey, shout out to McDavid and Matthews for those epic McDonald's commercials that they're doing.
We know it's a copycat, but it still works.
Well, it's a play on, I guess the Magic Bird was the first one. Then they did I didn't know about this until recently. There was a Sundin Gretzky one in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either because it came up there and they flashed it on
Overdrive.
I didn't see it on Overdrive.
Okay.
I seen it on MLB Network or NHL Network. I seen a flash of it. I don't remember that.
Yeah. No one seems to remember that. I guess it was just like a little small rinky-dink campaign. But the Jordan Bird one is that's the famous showdown
epic.
one. Yeah.
Well, it was Matt Sundin was in it too. So I think I really cared.
Shut up.
I think I really Matt Sundin flick next.
It's funny. I was thinking about that. A little off topic, but everything you criticize Sundin about, you love Nylander for. I just want to throw that out there.
No, Nylander's a different type of player. And we'll get to that when we get to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Completely different player.
I'm just saying the things you used to criticize Sundin are the things you seem to praise Nylander for.
No.
Yes,
we'll get to that.
Yes.
The Toronto Maple Leaf report's going to be interesting. We haven't talked about it in 2 weeks, so stay tuned, people. Stay tuned. I also want to shout out when people are saying things on TV, when all the bullshit we've been seeing in sports of late. I want to thank Troy Aikman, who may be now the guy on football. We know what we'll talk about it when our football segment comes up, what he has to say on the microphone. But I really wanted to thank him because this hurt me deep in my heart, whatever happened, that he was talking about situations and players, and he said, Amon St. Brown is the anti-diva wide receiver. Just wanted to shout that out there. I know it sounds a little biased, but when you see the way these guys are playing, what's going on, I'm just want to thank Troy Aikman for keeping it real.
All right. Shout out to Indiana Pacers for having the lowest possible jersey numbered lineup on the court. Did you hear about this?
No.
So
I heard the end of it, and I didn't know what they were talking about.
So they had numbers 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, and 3.
Wow.
So the lowest possible. So Tyrese Halliburton wears 0.
Yeah.
Benedict Mathurin wears 00. Andrew Nemhard wears number 2. Obi Toppin wears number 1. And Thomas Bryant wears number 3.
Unbelievable.
For math nerds like me, that is just amazing. I love that. Thank you, Indiana Pacers, for blessing us with that gift. And they're starting to turn around their season.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
You think it's a mirage?
That's another story. I noticed the Indiana Pacers, they should be called the Indiana Pacers because there's no D.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, please. Anyways, we'll continue.
Shout out to TGL, Tomorrow's Golf League.
Okay.
I know you probably have a thing or 5 to say about this.
Okay, so I did. I went back and I watched a bit of it and I watched a little bit more. Okay. The problem with it, and we have to understand this, is golfers are golfers because they're golfers. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
So when you see those personalities when they're walking around the golf course, or if you're a bit of a golf nerd,
What personalities?
Okay. Hence the reason it's like the virtual stuff, because I'm going to go in about a month or so to a virtual one because they're too much fun.
Yeah.
You get to hear the shots and you get to hear the chirping and you get to, if they, like when Tiger hit it in the water, whatever, and the thing where they actually hit the stuff live in the little arena and it goes off the flag and shit like that. There's not, what they're looking for is banter. Okay, and they don't have enough banter because golf players aren't one. Now, Justin Thomas and Max Homa, a couple of those guys would say it. My take on it is this. I think it would be really good if one of the teams like had Dennis Leary on it, or
introduce like a celebrity in there.
Yeah, put somebody else
Steph
in there.
Curry or
Matthew McConaughey, or guys like that. Even Romo. People that know a bit about golf. I think would be a little bit more.
Wow, you're advocating for Romo.
No, I don't advocate, but I just know that
I don't know. It sounds like a little advocation.
I'm going to put it this way: you have to respect the man's ability to do something.
Sure.
Okay, and
he's cooled it this year with some of the goofy stuff on the
podcast.
Yeah,
obviously something, because I think what it is Brady gave him the check, but that's another story. I'm not a Tony Romo guy, you know that. But
we know that.
Okay, I'm just using him as an example of that would improve the product because you have somebody else that would be a little bit more gregarious on it.
Right.
Because the bottom line, it's a gimmick. After said and done, it's just a gimmick.
Feels like they're just trying to squeeze that little bit of extra money in the wintertime when it's not
but
usually golf season.
The tour's kicking in now. This
Yep,
Farmers Insurance this weekend, and the tournaments with Nick Taylor had won, which our Canadian boy won out in Hawaii. So things are well underway, and we're just a month away from, I think it's 6 weeks away from the Memorial and those other big tournaments.
When's the first major?
Oh, it's not till April.
Okay.
It's
coming.
It's coming. But any event, I put it on PBR and I'm trying to watch it. Tiger's great because Tiger's Tiger. So anytime you get to see him swing the club, everyone gets excited and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not real golf. There's no wind going. There's no trees. You know what? There's no golf clubs.
Yeah.
I like
There's no rough.
Yeah. I like the rancor from the crowd a bit. Like that would be a little bit more, but which I think would be more engaging if you had some type of celebrity. Like imagine if Snoop Dogg was on one team, Matthew McConaughey was on another team, shit like that, and they're playing with Tiger and Max Homa and all that stuff. I think it would lighten it up and be a little bit more entertaining because it is a TV show and it's supposed to be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned personalities. Only two golfers that seem to be hated by the rest of the golf community, who are DeChambeau and Koepka.
Yeah, but DeChambeau with all his YouTube stuff. Like the driving over his glass house and all that shit and finally getting the hole in one. All that's really, really cool. But he's a prime example of a guy that would be made to order for this.
Sure.
Koepka would be just because of his Koepka-ness. You know what I'm saying? So I know what you're saying because a couple guys out there, I'm forgetting. I don't want to tell them because I don't want to depreciate their skills as golfers. These guys were dead out there, like personality-wise, but you have to be like that to be a golfer at times. You have to be that. What do you call it?
Well, it's not part of the game usually because you're usually just kind of like on your own with your caddy, just walk into the next hole. Like you're not worried about you don't have to do like interviews between intermissions and.
Agreed. They talk to him going down from hole to hole now.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? If there was a par 5 and they got that walk, they're gonna, hey, what'd you have for dinner last night? How's your wife? How's the new baby? I go, it's sometimes that kind of shit is just too. I don't need it. Let's get to the next hole.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? But then again, I'm contradicting myself because I'm saying you want to see some personality if this golf league thing is going to fly, which, you know what it did, though? I did hear this, which surprised me. It outflanked a couple of NBA games, rating-wise, on the same night.
Yeah.
How
much of that is just like early buzz, though? I'm curious to see if this is actually like sustainable. That's the big question.
And I've used gimmick, not live, sustainable. I think we may have some issues.
Could have some. Speaking of issues, we have to talk about the Fox Sports lawsuit, unfortunately.
I want to just say one thing about this, and we'll take it a little bit more in football when we discuss it about this. Cam Newton, who's coming on TV, just being Cam. And I love it. You know what I mean? Do you see when he comes on TV now? The hats and the gets.
No, I don't watch. He's on what, First Take?
Yeah, it comes on. But I've also went to his podcast a couple times. Okay. Cam is a different way of expressing things than other people.
Always has been.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't mind that because when he gets his point across in because he's from Atlanta in the South, kind of Southern style of saying things.
Right.
He made the most pertinent point I've heard in a long time. unfortunately, in the football game, when you seen last week, Baltimore and Buffalo, Mark Andrews, probably after Kelsey, the most steadiest tight end in Kittle. Like, I'd be about the top 3 tight ends in the league, or pretty well close to it in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although there's a rookie on Vegas.
Oh, yeah, but he's only first year,
yeah.
so I'll give you that. But anyway, we know Mark Andrews' stature, okay? He's money, like 99 out of 100 times.
All-time leading receiver for Baltimore.
Thank you very much. And that's huge when they had Ossie Newsome and a couple other guys, okay? So the guy fumbles at an inopportune time, but most importantly, we always see...
He drops the pass for the 2-point conversion.
Exactly. Yeah. So, to put this in context of the Fox lawsuit, which we'll talk about in a second here, is... He came to the mic, and a lot of people in the press started giving Mark Andrews a hard time because he didn't come to the post-game presser. Mm-hmm. Like, they were called, well, what's your issue? What's your problem? And Cam Newton said, hey, that's just a football game, people. What about the people that we have the allegations against with Bayless and the executive and the girl? What have we heard from them?
Zilch.
So these are the same people that are calling out Mark Andrews?
Yeah, I know.
Stop it. I mean, I think that's a glaring thing we don't see enough in real sports today. That's why I shouted out to Troy Aikman and what he has to say. And to hear Cam Newton say that, that's real, people. You know what I mean? Whatever's gone on in this Fox thing is absolutely brutal.
It's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting.
I forget her name, but...
the host of Undisputed? Are you talking about, or the makeup artist?
The makeup artist. I got her name down here. Anyways, her name is Natuja, whatever. She doesn't have a job there anymore, by the way. Okay, people don't know that. So now she had to get a new job, whatever the case may be. But this is what we're talking about when we're defending women, and everybody's supposed to be equal, and we have the... what did you call it? Me Too movements and all this shit going on. I think the worst part about this is the hairstylist, Joy Taylor, said, shake it off.
Yeah, that was...
Oh, wait a second. That's the woman saying that.
Yeah.
That's not... Hey, girls, if you're listening, that's not some executive up in the office wielding his hammer saying shake it off. That's another woman who's in that environment telling another woman, it's no big deal. I can't answer that, bro.
No, it's pretty fucked up.
That's the part that really blew me away. Like,
yeah.
Skip Bayless, he's always been a scumbag. I never liked the guy.
Going back to the 90s, look into like him just throwing out allegations there about Troy Aikman in his book. Like, he's a scumbag. He always will be.
Yes, and like I said, he's the first one that would say Mark Andrews didn't come to the presser.
Of course he would.
And where is he now? The hypocrisy in our world today is becoming rampant.
Yeah. Well, I would argue it just always has been there. Just now with the internet, it's just more accessible.
It's funny you say that because we were talking about a couple of us old guys last night about shit that went on, and like, there was a camera in the bar and something stupid happened, and it came on and people had their cameras on, and I'm going, just aren't you glad back in the day there was no cameras coming on? You know what I mean? Like,
no YouTube, no
nothing.
Facebook.
But I mean, it was just a little bit of a bad scene for 10 minutes. No big deal. Tony and the band didn't even notice it. But it was just a stupid thing that was going on. Alcohol involved, of course. And people flash their cameras. And I'm going, what's the point? What, are you going to go home and show that to your dog? Stop it.
Try and get views on TikTok.
Oh, whatever the case may be. And you know what? Shout out to all the people like myself that don't have a TikTok app.
Oh, my God. TikTok, not to get into the weeds, but since what's happened in the States, TikTok has just become a disaster. But we will move on.
Yes.
To college football playoffs where North Dakota State beat Montana State 35-32 in the FCS championship. That's what everyone wants to talk about, right?
Listen, come on. Come on.
No, okay, we're kidding. Obviously, Penn State fell to Notre Dame 27-24 in the Orange Bowl. That was one semifinal. And then Ohio State beat Texas 28-14 in the Cotton Bowl. That meant in the national championship, Ohio State, like you called, versus Notre Dame. And Ohio State came up huge in the first half, really, propelling them to a 34-23 victory for the FBS National Championship. Quinshon Judkins, 100 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 21 yards receiving, and 1 receiving touchdown.
And I seen about 8 All-Pros in the NFL playing in that game, too, by the way.
Just for Ohio State or for both sides?
Well, a couple guys from Notre Dame, especially the linebacker. I heard an interesting crack. I don't know if it was Paul Fennebaum or one of these guys that does a lot of college stuff. And it was the greatest because I don't like to be right about this, okay? I don't like to be right. I say, Ohio State's going to win it. They're going to romp. Okay, you know what? I went to confession, did my 16 Hail Marys, 14-hour fathers. But they're saying that like this. It's interesting how college football has changed. what they said was, well, for $20 million, Ohio State, you should have won, shouldn't you?
Well, they went out there. All the people making excuses for, like, against Ohio State, like, oh, they didn't win a conference championship. Oh, they lost to Michigan. It's like,
so
no, the whole point of this tournament was like, so like you can get rid of all that bullshit, right?
Exactly.
They won it there on the field. So I don't know. I just don't get all the outrage against Ohio State.
So I just hate them. We know that.
That's fine. I understand
but
that.
I respected them enough to say I thought they were going to romp.
Oh, no, you're taking this the right way.
Yeah.
Especially for someone that has like no respect for Ohio State on the field.
100% unadulterated. I thought about cheering for Notre Dame for a minute, but I couldn't do that either. But the bottom line is, what we're going to find out about this is that there's going to have to be coming something of a middle ground between conference championship and where you are seated. Because like we said, the 4th and 5th seeds had the best rides to go there. Everybody that had a bye lost.
Yeah, right away.
Okay, so, and they were the higher ranked teams. Now, I'm not going to worry about Boise State because they shouldn't have been ranked that high. You know what I mean?
No.
Or maybe should they condense it so there's no pauses?
But maybe like a team like Oregon should have gone a little bit farther, you would think.
Yeah, but they were bushwhacked. I told you when I seen that lineup with Ohio State, what did I say? Ohio State's going to kill Oregon, and what did they do? They romped
smacked them.
Okay, so there's certain things, if you've been watching it as maybe too much as I was doing, it just smelled that the rankings took away from some of the greatness of the games that we could have saw, because out of what, it was 12 games in the playoffs altogether, or 24 games, whatever it was. What was it? 3 of them were good?
Yeah,
maybe
basically.
like the quality, like the Ohio State game, I knew was over at halftime. Okay, so the Catholics got a little excited in the second half because what was happening is all the senior guys that were going to be not playing and didn't want an injury, they were sitting on the sidelines. Like half the second, but like the main guys came out. But I mean, when you got to start the fourth quarter, there was a lot of guys that weren't starting that were out on the field, which is good for them for the experience and all that. But come on, did you doubt that Ohio State was going to lose to Notre Dame? And Notre Dame,
I don't know.
And Notre Dame beat Penn State, whose history is going to be, can't you guys win a game?
Yeah, against top 10 teams,
Like,
they continue to struggle. Which I kind of was like, come on, Cruz. I don't think Penn State's winning this game.
But you know what? They're the better team, and they proved it. And Penn State gave Ohio State a much better battle during the regular season because they got to play them. Because Penn State's biggest thing is we got to play Michigan and Ohio State every year. Well, learn to beat them. It's that simple. Like, okay, every year you're 11-2 or 13-2. Who's your 2 losses to? Okay, so I think they would have been a better, more competition if they had a team like Penn State says. So I'm going to be interesting because one of the guys that was on the panel, because it's not all football people on the panel. Like the decision when they go into the room.
Yeah, we talked about that. They have like some math people on there.
And all that
too,
stuff. Well, one of the guys was on one of the shows the other day, and I was listening to him, and he was saying, and one of the coaches was saying too, we're going to have to be careful about what's going on here because one guy is saying conference championships should be respected. Okay, I'm good with that. What if that conference championship is your second loss and knocks you out of the playoffs? Some teams are going to say, hey, you know what?
That didn't happen, though, and they said they would respect that.
Well, it screwed up the rankings because now you put the conference champion here.
Well, I mean, something's definitely got to be done about the format. We can agree about that.
Yeah. We don't know what it is. I've heard 100 million things to go about it. But as we said when we started this playoff, I said it's probably going to work out this way, and we're going to get some shit games because the matchups are not aligning with the way.
Yeah, I know the ACC is freaking out about that too. Like, there's all sorts of rumors that they're going to have the conference championship, the second versus third place team. It's like that's which is so weak. Or do like a mini tournament. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's getting a little silly.
So what, they're going to have their own Gold Cup or their Four Nations? Stop it. I don't know. You know what it is because the ACC is trying to rise up. Belichick was a huge scorer going to North Carolina.
Sure.
Bottom line is win games.
Yeah, just go out there and do it on the field.
That's exactly it. Like everyone bitches about Boise State. Guess what? They ran the table. Away they go. So you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is I don't think they should have been seeded as a top 4. But then that guy was on my show, they're a conference champion. I don't think that conference is as strong as the SEC or Big Ten or you know what I'm saying?
I think Boise State's just like counting down to win they're in the Pac-12 basically.
When they get there, which will be a little bit more.
A couple of years, I think. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Anyways, I'm not congratulating Ohio State.
I'll congratulate. I'll be the bigger man. Congratulations, Ohio State.
Fuck them. Anyways.
Michigan won last year. Be quiet.
Doesn't matter because we're their daddies, okay? So I think bringing it home
then
for
congratulate little brother. Be a good sport.
Please. I would rather cheer for Trudeau.
Oh my God! Wow, that's saying something.
There you go.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Ohio State is a deep-bedded love. Did you hear what Rich Eisen said? Because he's a Michigan man. I hope it's on YouTube. When he was on the morning show and they were talking about the game, I felt every syllable that man said about his take on what he's doing during the game. I said, that was a beautiful soliloquy, Rich, from a Michigan man. Anyways, that's enough of college football. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. That's all.
Yeah, a little bit of a disappointment, but what we're going to do. We'll take this into the Australian Open, where Alcaraz was eliminated in the quarterfinal by Djokovic in 4 sets. My prediction about Alcaraz not winning a Grand Slam this year, I'm 1 for 1 so far.
Okay, so I'm with you. I was impressed, and we'll talk about what happened there in a minute. He's still got the French.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one you got. In my opinion, that's the hurdle you got to get. Like, if he doesn't win the French, I'm going.
You're talking just about, like, for his career.
No, I'm just talking about this year. You said he wouldn't win a major, and I said,
well, I think he's favored for the French.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, Sinner will probably be the number 1 seed due to the rankings.
Well, yeah,
but the best clay.
But he's the best. He's a hardcourt guy.
Yeah, and the best clay court guy is Alcaraz. So if he doesn't win the French, and they say there's a couple young guys coming up that may challenge him this year.
The French is a little bit of a wild card, though, so we'll see. It always
is.
It's
on dirt, but anyways,
it's on dirt.
It's on dirt. Anyways, I thought it was a very interesting tournament in the respects that if you look at both brackets, there was some really good matches early, like the Americans, like Paul and Rudd. Mm-hmm. They got to the
they made little runs.
They made little runs, but when they got to the big boys, they fell down, except for the Shelton kid.
Yeah.
He played very well. I'm surprised he got as far as he did, but that's like another.
I mean, he lost in straight sets to like Sinner wiped the floor with him after that first set,
and he's not ready for prime time. Like, I think he should have gotten a little bit more love than Tiaflo because he's been getting love and he got knocked out early. Mm-hmm. But this Shelton kid's something going to be there. We won't even see him in the French Open if he's gone in the first 2 rounds. Sorry, Ben, you're a good kid. That's not your court yet. You're too young. But he will make a splash at Wimbledon, I believe, this year.
Okay. And
he'll probably make a splash at the U.S. Open when we get there later in the year. Because that's just the way guys play, their style of play. What I thought was on the women's side, and I think we talked about
Let's keep it with the men's first. So Djokovic in the semifinal, he actually retired right after the first set to Zverev. So Zverev now going to his first Grand Slam final, which was a big hurdle. All last season, we were questioning if he was even going to make it to a Grand Slam final.
He's a big boy, though. I think that bending over. But you know what? I want to give him.
But credit? I think he's screwed going up against Sinner.
I'm giving him a puncher's chance for sure. Because he's a little bit more of a clay guy too in his day. Okay, so but bottom line about him, I don't know if you watched the set because I was up. I was going to watch the whole match, and the first people forget this. They only played 1 set. Mm-hmm. It went an hour and 15 minutes, and it was 7-6. A tiebreaker.
Yeah, tiebreaker.
You knew the last 3 or 4 serves. You don't have to be Einstein to see that whatever was going on with Djokovic didn't look like Djokovic, okay? So then when he retired, there was a smattering of boos. And I thought Zverev was so cool when he come up to the microphone, and the first thing that he said was, let's not talk about this match for a second. Why are you booing one of the greatest champions of all time who's come into your house and entertained you for years?
He's won the most Australian Opens, too.
Thank you. That's what he was saying. And he says, you don't understand that when we have something that affects us on an injury level, this could affect you down the road. I didn't know how close that him and Djokovic are. They are very close off the court, so to speak. But what he was pointing out, and I really agree with this, as a fan of the game, I would never, ever think about booing about something like that. But respect an athlete. He just beat Alcaraz. Mm-hmm. That was a battle. You see, that was a battle. And he was injured at the end of that match. And people were already questioning, was he going to be able to come out and play again?
Yeah.
He gave it his best shot. He couldn't play. The boos were just... I couldn't believe it.
Like, were they still upset about the COVID stuff about him lying on his visa? Like, come on, people, get over it.
Whatever with the booing, it shouldn't have mattered because, first of all, the first set was great. It was looking like it was going to be a classic match. But you knew at the end, during the tiebreaker...
Yeah, he was getting around a little.
The Joker was a little... he looks funny. And I respect that. However, like you said, now we got Sinner, who has just steamrolled to the finals.
Yeah, no kidding.
Steamrolls. I think he had, 1-4 set? Or 1-5 set very early because that always happens. Some upstart comes up. And
I don't even think he did. I think he was just rolling like 3 or 4 sets the whole way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. He looked really good. And people have been whispering, but I don't think it matters right now because he's playing because there's still that little thing hanging over his head. About
the drug test?
Yeah, and they were saying, like, should he been involved? I'm saying that's over with now, people. Let's not bring it up again. In the middle of I forgot about it. Maybe I shouldn't have been bringing it up, but when I heard them bringing it up on the TV, I said, oh, isn't that old news?
Yeah. Either way, I think he's going to win in 4 sets. That's my prediction.
Really?
I think Zverev steals 1.
I'm cheering for him.
Zverev?
Yeah, I like him. He's 6'6", eh?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
So his career is probably about 3 more years because all the big guys never last long. Look at the history of tennis. All the guys that are like, okay, 6'1", 6'2", okay, but the guys like 6'4" and bigger than that.
So you're saying we should be worried about our Canadian boy Diallo?
He's still young, though, which is very disappointing. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, Diallo, Shapo, Felix all losing in the second round.
Yes, and Leila Fernandez had a rough
She
day.
made it to the third.
Okay,
she had a rough time again. She lost in straight sets to Coco. Coco Gauff.
She looked terrible too, but that's another story. Bottom line is, I will be watching it tonight.
Yeah,
I'll probably take a snooze this afternoon and stay up to watch it so I can see it live.
I'm probably gonna tape it and watch it tomorrow morning before football.
Which brings us to the women's draw.
Yes, so Zabalenka versus Keys for the women's final. And do you want me to spoil the end?
No, I've already seen most of it. Okay, so here's the killer. I said that it was going to be Swiatek and Sabalenka.
But Swiatek outside of clay, she'll make it far, but she doesn't tend to make it to the finals.
She had lost a set. I haven't seen her play this good on this surface ever. She won Australian, hasn't she?
I don't think so.
Or is it won Wimbledon? Whatever.
I think she won Wimbledon.
But in any event, she was looking like she beasted down on a couple of up and comers that were coming along, including Navarro, the American. Mm-hmm. What's her name? The Paolini girl, I believe.
She won the U.S. Open, not Wimbledon.
Yeah, okay, that what it was. So
this is the furthest she's ever made in the Australian. She's made to the semis twice now.
Yeah, but she looked. I thought. And then the Keys girl comes out of nowhere, who, by the way, played very well. And I thought one of the best matches of the women that I've seen, because I watched a lot of the tournament, was her and Slovatina. Is that how you say her name? Mm-hmm. That she beat in the quarters or in the semis? Well, the quarters. She won the quarters. I thought that the Slovatina, because she'd beaten higher quality opponents. I think she even beat Coco Gauff. Okay, so I thought that she was on a roll, that she was going to be the surprise there. And then this Keys girl kept winning, and she was battling all the time. She was down 2 sets, I think, once. Or she was down a set and close to match point 1 set and came all the way back. But the shocker is she beat Sabalenka.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
The final set went deep into tiebreaker. So it was a battle.
Oh yeah. Oh no doubt.
So credit to both. Especially Keys. But just an insane match.
I will be watching a little bit more. I just basically watch the highlights, but I will watch the whole thing. I feel for Sabalenka because you know what? I bet you she cracked in the tiebreaker.
I mean, either way, she's been to the last 5 or 6 Grand Slams that have been on hard court. So
we'll see her at Wimbledon. She ain't winning the French.
No,
another one.
She's probably gonna win the U.S. Open again.
Oh yeah, so. No, and I think she'll be, if she wins Wimbledon, I won't be surprised. It's just that clay surface is only, some players are just more superior on it for growing up on it or whatever the case may be. I just want to say that it was a good tournament though. Seen a lot of great tennis. It's unfortunate because we don't seem to watch enough tennis in between, like maybe Indian Wells and Cincinnati and a few of them.
Yeah,
tournaments.
fair point.
But the tennis was outstanding, and now we got to wait till April before we see another major.
Yep. That's around the corner. Well, not really around the corner, but either way, we will keep an eye on that. Maybe even keep an eye on some of the mid-majors. But for now, we will move this over to MLB, where 3 legends, at least 2 legends, got into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Cooperstown, Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and relief pitcher Billy Wagner, all making their way in. Ichiro 1 vote away from going in unanimously as a first ballot.
Okay, so we as people that talk about sports, we have to bring this up. Everybody in the country is saying, who's the guy that didn't vote for Ichiro?
Yeah, it's insane.
Who are you?
Were you mad that are you mad that Mariano got in unanimously? He's like,
oh no. No. This just it's been a nuance over baseball, for example. Why wasn't Mickey Mantle unanimous? Why wasn't Willie Mays unanimous?
Because these baseball writers have enormous egos.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying the most significant thing about the Hall of Fame this year, and congratulations to CC Sabathia, who
yes.
I think he is. I think
250 game winner.
I think Billy Wagner is opening the door to the new analytics about baseball getting in, because he's a great pitcher. He's in the Hall of Fame. Cruz, shut up. I don't know. At the height of his career, I was looking at him as like a Hall of Fame reliever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Great player. So what I look at it from a different perspective is the other two guys that are going into the Hall of Fame that were voted in by the Veterans Committee are Dick Allen and Dave Parker. I always thought Dick Allen, yes, okay, I'm satisfied he's in there. But Dave Parker, I always thought should have been a Hall of Famer.
He was the one that played for the Pirates, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's one of my favorite baseball players of all time. So maybe I'm a little biased. But the bottom line was...
Well, I mean, you look at his numbers like,
come on. But the bottom line was the baseball writers, some people didn't like Dave Parker. He had the little issue in Cincinnati and all that kind of stuff. So what are you going to do? You're going to mar the guys who wouldn't get in? I think what changed all of this voting, and that guy who didn't vote for Chiro, you're an idiot. I don't care who you are. You're just an idiot. But it all started when Jack Morris did not get in the Hall of Fame because all the writers hated Jack Morris. Okay, how could Jack Morris not be in the Hall of Fame? He didn't even get there in his eligibility. That's insane. I seen Morris pitch live. I seen what he did with the Tigers. I seen what he did with Minnesota. I seen when he came to Toronto. So
that Minnesota World Series, that's like his signature moment.
That's his apex, so to speak. Probably that's why his arm fell off in a couple of years, but later. But bottom line is,
because his numbers with the Blue Jays kind of fell off.
Yeah. So to make a long story short, that's why they put together this committee with your buddy Bob Costas and the Verducci's and the Russos all got together.
My buddy Bob Costas.
Yeah, okay. In any event, my point being is all of the hierarchy of baseball people that we do respect got together and said, okay, baseball writers, you guys have blown it at this point in time. We got to have a new mechanism.
Yep.
And how's that mechanism? And if you look over a lot now, they made some things like Harold Baines got in. And I went, Harold. Great left-handed hitter, but so it's not a perfect system by any means, but respect the greatness that we have. Like, why didn't Dick Allen and Dave Parker get in
originally?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Anyway, congratulations to the three of them.
Absolutely. Now, back to, I guess, regular baseball news. So Vladdy and the Jays were apparently over $100 million apart in negotiations. He was seeking $450 million. I guess they were offering him closer to $350. Either way, it didn't matter because he came back on a one-year deal, $28.5 million to avoid arbitration. Not a great sign.
Well, word around the campfire now is, we're going to talk about this because this will give a little Toronto Blue Jay report, the joke that our organization is becoming. The newest offer is they've offered Vladdy, rumor now, $499.
What changed?
I don't know, but I'm not.
I'm smelling bullshit there.
Okay, I'm not going to say where I seen it, but it was supposed to be a reputable place on where you go and look at baseball shit. But I did not move when I heard it because first of all, people around him were saying substantiate it, and that was my first thought. But it's out there. The issue with the Toronto Blue Jays and the Shackins managements here is they're goddamn bridesmaids.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can put it. Like
second place to every free agent.
They're in the door on every like you name it. Tanner Scott, Corbin Burns. Who am I missing? Of course, Soto. I'm missing somebody else.
The Japanese pitcher that went to the Dodgers.
Yes, okay. They were in the door. They were like, if there was only 3 bidders left or 2.
Yeah, the Jays were the second one.
Yeah. So what are we're good at? We're good at jacking contracts. Okay, so let's figure out how we did accomplish anything in our offseason. Oh, we signed Santander.
Yeah, the one guy I didn't want them to sign. He signs with the Jays, 5-year deal, $92.5 million. Not crazy about that for a guy who's
only 30.
Career, he's not a great hitter, batting average-wise. His on-base percentage is around 300, which isn't great.
If he gives us
his career OPS is under 800. I'm not crazy about that money for him. I think we might get a couple good years out of him, but beyond that, I'm worried.
If he gives you 40-90 this year, 35-90, you're happy? Plays a little D, which he's not very good at.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, but in any event, if he gives us 30 and 90, that's a spike in our lineup.
I'm not like upset if he does that.
Okay.
He should be doing that at least.
I didn't cartwheel when I heard the news.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just look how the Jays are getting looked at now. They're getting punked. Okay, look at the other deal.
The trade with Cleveland?
Oh, when I heard the minutia that came out of there, I just said, oh, my God. I mean, should I just take a step back from the Blue Jays? Apparently, Cleveland was going out of their way to get rid of this guy, and managers weren't answering the calls until they called Ross, and we brought the guy in. And
what's this guy's place on the team going to be?
He's going to be
going to the minors?
No, he's going to be a defensive replacement in the 7th inning.
Oh boy!
In any event, the next thing they did was there's already questions about this Hoffman's arm going into spring training.
Yeah.
Which is our other amazing acquisition. So, where are we at with the Blue Jays?
Apparently we're close to signing Pete Alonso too as well.
Oh, so
I'm actually higher on Pete Alonso than I am on Santander.
Only because of the Dome.
And just his numbers.
Yeah, but I'm saying, at the Dome, I think he'd hit 40 at the Dome. You know what I mean? He'd hit at a bigger, City Park is bigger than the Dome. And how many...
His career batting average and on base is better than Santander's too.
Oh, agreed.
So.
Santander has a longer career, but we're going to see him overplay because Bregman's in play too from Houston.
I hear he's going back to Houston though.
Well, you know what? He's a Houston guy, and I hope he does, in my opinion. But the bottom line with all this is that there's been a lot of whining this free agent era about what the Dodgers are doing, and I think you and I both said it quite succinctly in production meeting is, if you want those players, pay for them. Now, the allure of playing in L.A., you can't take that away.
Yeah, but I mean, the allure of playing in L.A. without the money isn't quite as interesting. Now, the Dodgers just outbid anyone, so, how are you going to get mad at them for that?
Okay, so that's my point. I'm saying Chicago White Sox. Chicago... Cubs, Boston Red Sox,
Yankees.
Arizona Diamondbacks, because they got money. Just go. You got Corbin, so don't bitch. The bottom line is, if you want the players, this is not a salary cap induced lineup. Did you hear that?
The Orioles owner?
He's just being a bitch too, because he sign your players or not. Because you got guys to sign, and your window's open for a few years with that lineup. So just sign the guys and shut the front door. But I'm just saying, if you want the players, the only thing that sometimes draws them to is LA is that LA is LA, La La Land. I get that. Did you really think Asaki was going to go anywhere else? I didn't even pay attention to when I heard we were giving bids for him, and I get up in the morning and I'm having a coffee, I'm listening to Hot Stove.
I didn't think we were going to get him.
What?
I didn't think we were going to get him.
When we, Harold and the boys on the Hot Stove were talking about how much Toronto was competing on them, and the other side of their face they're going, bridesmaids. It's embarrassing. Go look about anybody talking about the Toronto Blue Jays on any reliable source right now, and they're called the most enigmatic team in baseball just about because we have some pitching. That's what's going to there. But like I said, we have an offense problem. Okay, we got Santander, but we got this guy, what's his name? The second baseman that we traded for Cleveland. I forget his name. Jimenez or whatever.
Yeah.
The guy can't hit.
Yeah.
So didn't we have this story for the last two preseasons?
I don't know.
We're going to give up a little offense.
Yeah, well, the Jays are no longer the sexy pick.
No, they're predicted by most people to come in last. Already. You know what I mean?
Either way, we'll move this a little bit on. Justin Verlander also signing with the Giants on a one-year deal.
That's
for his 20th season in the big leagues.
Exactly. So do you think we're going to have any bid on Scherzer?
Nah.
We're last in the door with him too. Okay, that's what I'm going. What drove me crazy is that couldn't we make a deal for Chicago? Just yesterday, Chicago stole the starter that was a big hot trade line guy. What's his name? Crochet? The lefty? Red Sox got him. Why couldn't we get in on him? That would have been a great fifth starter for us. We got as much money as Boston. Why couldn't we make a deal? Could we swing for him? They gave up a bit, but they didn't give anything great. Their prospects were probably better, hence the reason they did that. But look at there's Boston just moved ahead of us there. Their problem was starting pitching. They just bit up a guy that's going to give you 35 starts, 200 innings.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what are we doing? Now, we have beefed up the bullpen, and I know that we got the perennial poker in the fire for guys. Just sign them. Spring training's what? Less than 30 days away. Catchers and pitchers report.
Not looking good.
We will have our annual preseason baseball edition coming up in about 6 weeks.
Look forward to that, people.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll move this on to the PWHL, where just over a third of the way through the season, Toronto is dead last by 4 points, and that is the largest gap between any teams in the standings. The Scepters lost to the second last place team, Boston, 4-1. I'm saying it's time to panic. Natalie Spooner not being in the lineup can't be used as an excuse anymore. And Renata Fast, our top scorer, doesn't have a goal yet.
Okay, so let's look at it. The quality of the team play is rough. I watched that game, and then when I realized that Boston was the second worst team, I said, oh, that's why these teams look this bad on the ice.
No, you look at them compared to like New York or Montreal, like it's night or day.
Yeah, they play a much better. I don't know if it's a coaching, better players. I'm not sure, but when you watch the Toronto team play, it's pretty sad at the moment. Yeah. Puck movement is a big problem for the team. Like, coming up, the missed passes coming out of their zone and shit. Like, I bet you find midget kids that are moving the puck better than that. So the product on the ice has got to improve. But my big thing about it is when they had the merchandising thing for the
Toronto Tempo.
Yeah, that got more press than and you were right about
the WNBA is like it's big right now.
Exactly. So it got a little bit hype, but there's got to be some way that PWHL has got to get some more marketing so they can get that much exposure. I think they're pretty
Well, they're also an upstart. Like where was the WNBA 25 years ago, right?
That's their saving factor, and there's only 4 franchises.
6.
I mean, yeah. No, is there 6 playing now? Yeah, 6. Okay. I think it would be better when they get to 8 so they can spread it a little bit further. I just hope they play better because I don't see the team going any farther than we are right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard for me to come on every week. Well, we are Toronto-centric. What are we going to say about the girls' hockey team? Not much.
Yeah. And also the competition, too, around this time, like just having to play in the winter, competing with the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, even though Toronto doesn't have an NFL team, but like still like in Toronto, they take a lot of the air out of the room. They suck the air out of the room.
Everywhere
right?
in North America, that's just the way that it is. So,
but I do predict like the Toronto Tempo, they're going to be pretty big here. Especially considering it is in the summer, so less competition.
Oh, I think that'll be a viable alternative of other things that are going on. I'll probably go down and see a game myself. Point well taken. In any event, we're hoping and we're bringing you girls up because it's a little bit of way of promoting what you're doing. Just improve the product on the ice, and it'll be a little bit more positive for us to say.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Toronto team in dead last.
No.
I thought we were past that with Toronto hockey teams.
Thank you.
Not
that I care.
No, I think you cared there for a second. But either way,
different.
We'll move this over to our soccer report, where Toronto FC hired former assistant Robin Fraser as head coach on a 3-year deal. Toronto FC, their season not too far away, about a month away. Their first game at DC, Saturday, February 22nd, although they won't have their home opener until a month later, March 15th. That's a Saturday as well versus Chicago.
That makes sense considering the weather.
Yep. And we'll do a little bit. So for soccer, I'm going to keep it mostly Champions League focus because last week was the second last week of the league stage. Then on Wednesday, all the final league stage games are coming up. But we'll keep it with the leagues for now. Premier League, I would say the game of the week is Chelsea-Man City today.
Yes.
And you look at the table.
What time is that game on?
It's on right now, actually, as we're recording.
Oh, you're recording it?
No, like as we're recording the show, I'm saying.
Oh, I should have it on the screen.
Oh, it's okay. Liverpool still in first place.
Powerhouse.
Yeah, they are 6 points up on Arsenal for second place. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle United round out the Champions League positions, although Chelsea still hanging about. They have a game in hand. If they beat Man City today, they'll basically leapfrog Newcastle for that fourth place.
That should be a good game.
For the Italian League, I would say for Serie A, Napoli-Juventus game today. Another one on right now. It's actually just about to enter halftime. Napoli still sitting in first place. Inter, though, a game in hand and 3 points back. So they are looking well. Atalanta, third place right now. They're really the only other team really competing for first place. And then Lazio right now in fourth. Juventus right on their tail, though, for fifth place. So are still in position for a Champions League spot for next year.
Should be interesting.
Moving over to La Liga. Oh, and we should also mention that Milan beat Inter 3-2 in the Supercoppa Italiana from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Gold Cup bullshit.
And it ends Inter's run of 3 Super Cups in a row. So good for Milan. Inter scored at the 46th and 47th minute from Lautaro Martinez and Mehdi Tremi. Although Milan scored 3 straight from Teo Hernandez, Christian Pulisic, and Tammy Abraham. Inter had 56% possession. Shots were 18-15. Shots on target 8-8. So it was a pretty even game considering, and Milan pulling it out at the end.
Did they have some air conditioning there for that game?
I would imagine.
I've seen something about the temperature in one of the games when they were going on the field. I said, what? I said, oh, they just air conditioned it. Or it must have done something going on. To play in that heat, come on.
Sure. Moving it over to La Liga, Atletico Villarreal would be my game of the week. That's today as well. Atletico Madrid, yeah.
Yeah, well, can I just interject for a second? I was looking up and I said, damn, Somebody had said something about Champions League, and I said, "Oh, damn, Bayern Munich lost or whatever." And this guy goes, "It's all about
Atletico Madrid?
Yeah,
Oh,
this guy had it and turned around and said, "It's all about Atletico Madrid." I said, "Really?"
They're up there.
Yeah, he's like, but then he started talking. He was way above my head. So he said me one sentence, and he thought I was like, "This guy's into it." And I go, "Oh, I'm trying." What was interesting is that when you're out and you hear stuff like that, and that team comes up, because I've been noticing during the course of the season.
Yep.
You know?
Well, speaking of Atletico Madrid, they are in second place. They are trailing Real Madrid by 1 point, although Real has a game in hand. Barcelona sitting in third place, not doing as well in Champions League and other competitions, but still hanging in there third place. Then Athletic, Villarreal round out the top 5. But they also had their own Supercopa de España from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Barcelona topped Athletic Bilbao 2-0 in their semi. Real Madrid smoked Mallorca 3-0, holding them to 0 shots on target. So that set up El Clasico for the final Real Madrid-Barcelona. But Real fell 5-2 to Barcelona. Rafinha had 2 goals and assists. Yamal had a goal and an assist. Barcelona, like I said before, just even though they're not quite dominating La Liga on the bigger stages, these bigger competitions, they seem to have their house in order.
I agree. Does they ever release what kind of money they get? They don't release the numbers.
For the Supercopa?
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah,
it's
they
out
must
there.
get a bag load of
Well, I know for winning like Champions League and for winning like your own league, you get around like 24, 25 mil. Supercopa, I would imagine probably like 10, 15.
I'd say more.
You think so?
First of all, you got to go to Saudi Arabia.
That's true.
So let's just put it in. Like, they got a license to print money. So I would think that it would be way more than that. And I think some people go there for vacation. I wonder what the quality of the games. Even that one game, you just
okay. So for the Italian Super Cup, it was 8 million euros.
But
so it's because just one game.
I was just,
I guess 2, a semi and a final.
Games. So when you actually prorate it,
it's I guess
when you prorate it, that's
fair enough.
That's a lot of money to go down for 2 games. Wow, 8
million euros.
Woo.
So that's like what Canadian, like because like euros like 1.5. No, less.
Is it 1.5? Oh yeah, you're right, 1.5.
So it's like what 6 million Canadian. Either way,
whatever the case may be for 2 games.
Some nice pocket change for these clubs.
I hear you.
Moving over to the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich, of course, sitting atop of the league, 6 points up on Bayer Leverkusen. Eintracht Frankfurt and VfB Stuttgart round out the top 4 for Champions League, although RB Leipzig still hanging around there. They were in contention early on, but fell back. My game of the week is RB Leipzig versus Bayer Leverkusen, again on today. Moving it over to Ligue 1, or I guess I should say first for the Super Cup, PSG beat Monaco 1-0 in the Trophée des Champions in Doha, Qatar.
Another place with money.
And air conditioning.
And air conditioning, yeah.
And moving over to their table, of course, PSG up 9 points on second place, Marseille. Lille rounds out the Champions League spot. Only the top 3 go to a Champions League from Ligue 1. But that brings us to what we all want to hear about, Champions League, of course.
And PSG is doing a little better there than you thought.
Yes.
Because you seem to always push them to the side.
Well, they're just barely hanging in there. They still have one more game that they basically got to win. But they did come back from 2-0 down to beat Man City 4-2.
Yes.
All 6 goals were scored in the second half of that one.
I'd love to have been at that game. That would, you know what? I'm starting to have trouble with my Man City guys. I'm gonna call.
Really?
I'm gonna call up Noel Gallagher and say, "What's going on with you guys? They've been puking up big games lately."
Yeah.
Like if you look at like what is
we thought that they pulled their socks up because for Premier League they were winning some games, but then now they're like again they blew another big game.
Exactly, and a guy on a Sporting Report pointed out 8 of their last 11 games that they've lost. They were the clear betting favorite going in. Clear betting favorite, like, like bet $1 to win 50 cents kind of deal.
Yeah.
And they lost them all or tied. Lost or tied 8 of these last 11 games that they played.
Either way, they're losing the gamblers' money.
Oh, big time. And I'd be one of those suckers I'd bet on Man U and their pretty uniforms.
Or Man City, you mean.
Man City and their pretty uniforms.
Moving it on, Barcelona stole a 5-4 win at Benfica after falling behind 3-1 in the 30th minute.
Another game I would have liked to see. I seen the highlights. That was, and a lot of those goals were in the second half too, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another interesting game.
Your boys Liverpool beat Lille 2-1. Our boy Jonathan David getting a goal in that one, though, in that loss.
See, Matty Curran, we're on the Liverpool bandwagon, buddy. We're thinking about you.
Atletico Madrid topped Bayer Leverkusen 2-1. Bayern fell 3-0. This is the game that shocked you. They lost to Feyenoord, a Dutch club, but despite Bayern having 80% possession and 30 shots, although only 6 hit the goal.
Insane.
Yeah.
And I had to call you or text you and say, who are these guys? Is that the place where the ice comes out of the water, like the hot stuff comes out of the ice when you're there?
Well, they had that big comeback against Man City earlier in the year.
Yeah.
They were down 3-0 and they came back to get the draw.
Well, afterwards, when I talked to that, I'd seen the report and I realized that this is their first jump up to beat a big team. But I'd never heard of them. Now they're on the map. We'll pay a little bit more attention. Netherlands, right?
Yeah, they're Dutch.
Which is okay because the Dutch always show up in World Cup. So, they, quality team, quality players. So, yeah. I was just surprised. Surprised.
Well, I mean, I was surprised that 3-0. Like, come on.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have been 2-1 or a draw. Okay, I'm okay. But 3-0 to those boys? Whew.
Yeah, they're a scrappy bunch.
Yeah.
Milan got the 1-0 win versus Girona for their 5th Champions League win in a row. They now move up to 6th place after losing their first 2 Champions League matchups. So they're on the rise.
I was just going to say they're huge on the rise. Some people are saying they're a sleeper.
I would agree. A
I've
lot of
heard
talent
that.
on that team. They just got to pull it together.
Yeah, the guys are saying that's a sleeper team. That, like I said, they had the rough start. One of the guys predicted them. They'll be like, what, it goes to quarterfinals or semifinals, whatever. Some guys already predicted that they will make the semifinals or the quarterfinals.
I would be all there for that.
I went, wow, okay.
And then Real Madrid smashes RB Salzburg 5-1. We'll look at the table right now. So Liverpool still undefeated in Champions League, 7-0. Barcelona, they're in second, 6-1. After that, Arsenal, Inter, Atletico, AC Milan, Atalanta, and Bayer Leverkusen rounding out the top 8. Although you got some teams, Aston Villa, Monaco, Feyenoord, our Dutch boys are right up there, kind of knocking on the door for a bye to the round of 16. Because remember, the top 8 get to go this round of 16 automatically. The next 16 teams got to play for a playoff to get in.
Yep. Man City might end up there, eh?
Yeah, they are. Well, they're on the outside looking in right now. They wouldn't even make it to the to that play-in.
So they're saying this is a disaster for them, isn't it?
Yeah, because like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Juventus, they're all, I would say, not quite safely in there for that knockout game. But actually, I think Juventus might have clinched. Actually,
I think they did.
Yeah. But yeah, so Juventus, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, they're all at least going to get to that play-in game. PSG, they're one of those teams that's just barely hanging on. Them and Man City, it might come down to them too. I mean, that's obviously a big swing game.
Oh, huge.
That happened last week.
Huge.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And then all the games wrap up on Wednesday. All 36 of the teams will be in action. All the games at 3 p.m.
I'm going to try to turn on the box and watch a couple.
Yeah.
They're on like TSM Plus and shit, right? But I ain't paying for that.
It's on DAZN. I know that.
Oh, it's on the zone too?
Yeah.
I got that. Okay.
Champions League is on DAZN.
Okay.
Yeah, so Manchester City at home to Club Brugge. A Belgian squad. No pushover, though, so it should be very interesting. But for Man City, it's probably a win you're in situation. If you get the 3 points, I really don't imagine they're out. Liverpool is going to Netherlands to play PSV. Juventus Benfica, that should be an exciting matchup.
Yes.
Inter Milan Monaco. Arsenal goes into Girona.
That should be good.
Yeah. Atletico Madrid has a pretty easy matchup, I would say, going into RB Salzburg. Bayern Munich is playing SK Slovan Bratislava. That's a matchup they should win.
I think they're going to slaughter them because they're pissed at the last game.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Real Madrid goes into Brest, the French team. They should win that. Barcelona, Atalanta. That should be a very interesting one, especially considering that Atalanta needs this win basically to stay in that top 8. And Barcelona, are they going to be resting guys? I imagine they probably will because their standing is pretty safe.
Yeah.
I would say to get into that round of 16.
Because they have some big games also coming up in their league.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a rest somewhere along the line when they get comfortable. Just learning this from listening to guys with crazy accents talking about soccer. I got to listen closely sometimes. Oh, what?
And then my AC Milan is into Dynamo Zagreb, looking to finish the league stage on a 6-game win streak. I think they can do it.
Yep.
Anything else to add for soccer?
Not today. Not today.
All right.
Not today. However, I do hope that our Toronto team makes a couple of more of the rumored moves that they're supposed to be making before the season starts.
Toronto FC, pull your socks up and figure your shit out, please.
Thank you.
We'll move us over to the NBA.
The NBA. Okay, I'm going to try to be nice about the whole NBA thing, but it's getting hard to do that when every time you turn on the NBA, it's a story that's non-basketball related. Like the housewives of the b-ball players of Miami, so to speak. What's going on with Jimmy Butler? Isn't this just an embarrassment now for the league?
This is the most ridiculous soap opera you've ever seen, isn't it? Like,
beyond anything I could ever imagine.
They're giving this guy everything he could want and more, and he's still acting like a fucking bitch. It's ridiculous.
And I never ever thought I would say Jimmy Butler and
Me neither.
bitch
Me neither. I love Jimmy Butler.
Me too.
Oh my God. It makes you sick.
The problem is it's his contract. Will he get the extension? Because there's been trades on the table, but nobody can seem to get on it. I feel bad for Pat Riley in this respect. When him and LeBron didn't get along, LeBron just left, but there was no drama. You found out about the drama afterwards, okay, so to speak. But this Jimmy Butler thing is like, are they even going to make the playoffs now? Okay, we're going to get to that.
I mean, the only thing that's keeping them in there is that Philly is so goddamn bad.
Okay, so that's part two. Joel Embiid, another drama. Are we going to be done with this guy? Like, come on. Like, okay, wait a second here. You play. We went through this before. You played in the Olympics. You did this. You did that. Now he's out again for what? 2 to 3 weeks.
I don't even
with
know.
The need. Like we were talking about it. I heard it on some show, and it's amazing. How much per game do these guys get paid? You know what I mean? Just like, the actual playing time. And Ben Simmons is number one, by the way. He's number one when you look at it. But Embiid's now got to a point where, come on, this is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So now we got Jimmy Butler. We've got Embiid. Okay, let's start the part 3 here. The Ant-Man I love. Great player. Cade Cunningham on the rise. Stay away from the referees, guys.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Like, what's going on here? Like, every play, these guys are harping on the refs. I've said it a million times. I was telling you the other night, I turned off a basketball game because it got so bad. What did I end up putting on? I think I told you. No, it wasn't tennis. I can't remember. Anyway, to make a long story short, it's ridiculous when you really like to watch something and you see the product deteriorating because of things like refereeing, yelling at each other, stupid texts, too many threes, and then the commentators got to keep bringing up the drama involved in these teams going along. This ain't a reality. It is a reality show, but it's not the Housewives of freaking Philadelphia. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's starting to get a little ridiculous.
Yeah, and we've talked about why the NBA is kind of like losing cachet with their fans, right?
Well, I heard the number the other night from Mr. Tony Kornheiser, and you said this is just a blip because it started, but the gimmick golf outrated a basketball game on the same night, which must have given the NBA shudder at this time of the year. Even though they say it's a dog day, screw that. The game's on. Give us something to watch. And then we got the biggest drama of all, which we coming up in the news, and then they got to put a microphone in front of these guys all the time, which is giving me more respect for Steph Curry, is the fact is LeBron and Steph are probably not going to play together, so we have to hear about it one more time.
Oh, my God, I'm so sick of these rumors.
Oh, you can't
LeBron's not getting traded to Golden State. Stop it.
No, exactly. So that's what I'm saying is the NBA isn't talking about, we don't get to hear about the quality of play. We don't hear about how great OKC is first and all this other stuff. We got to deal with all this freaking drama bullshit before we can get to a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's hurting the league. I would say more than like these ugly threes and whatever. Just like the conversation about the game.
Yes.
And I mean, a lot of this
people off.
Yeah. Like a lot of the Draymond bullshit. Like, how much shit has he said? Like when he's on the TNT panel in the playoffs, where we're just like, dude, like, aren't you supposed to be here like promoting the league? Like, he's talking shit about like, oh yeah, I want to see these playoff games. It's like, well, why are you on the panel for?
Okay, his worst thing is the other day when he tried to tell Jordan Poole to quit it.
That was disgusting.
Okay, so now that becomes
tell him to get over it. Like that's like classic abuser behavior, there, buddy.
Thank you very 101.
Yeah.
101. So now you've got a platform and you get to go out and say this shit. What are you doing to promote the league? You're just exemplifying the shit we were just talking about the last couple minutes. No place in basketball. Let's get this out of here. If you want us to watch the games, give us a reason to watch the game. Not a bunch of bullshit that just takes eyeballs off your product, people.
Yeah. Now, I can't understand how he could like punch a teammate in the face. The teammate's the one that ends up getting traded, not him. And he's telling him trade to the worst team in the league, mind you.
Oh yeah, they buried him.
And he's telling him to like get over it. Like, go fuck yourself, Draymond.
No
kidding.
My
God.
All his basketball smarts, going back to Michigan State and what he does. Did you see him the other night when they should have given him a fine for it on the flagrant foul when he grabbed the two Laker guys by the arms and then he falls back like he's getting hit? Doesn't this idiot, I shouldn't call him an idiot, said I wouldn't be doing that anymore. Shouldn't this,
call him a goof.
Whatever, don't they know there's cameras in the place that perhaps are going to look at it? And the guy jumps up. Draymond jumps up the ref like, what did I do? That's the shit that turned the game off because the score was getting out of hand anyway. Then I just flicked it over because I said, come on, this guy again? Like, you grab two guys. And flail.
Like a fucking wrestling move or something.
Oh, it was so bad. I just went, enough is enough.
You know what? Golden State's digging their own grave, though, so I'm not going to cry.
Oh, I'm not overly concerned about any of those teams. But now what we should be doing is what we're done with.
Also, we missed this. A shout out to Derrick Rose, who's getting his number retired by the Chicago Bulls next season, the youngest MVP in league history.
Oh, God bless Derrick Rose, and I wish that your knees that have held up could have been one of the greats of all time.
100%.
You know what I mean?
That Bulls team probably could have won a championship or two as well.
Love that team with Noah and the boys. Butler was on that team too. It was just a young kid. Remember, they didn't know what they had in Jimmy Butler, and he was just a dog out there. That was in the days where we respected
that team had a great bench too.
Oh yeah. So I'm about Thibodeau.
Taj Gibson and
yes. But Thibodeau ran him into the ground.
As he tends to do.
And most of those guys are now retired or out of the game, eh?
Yeah.
Already. Whew. You know, that's just something.
I feel bad for these Knicks guys. Oh. Could there be a little prelude for that?
And they got Anobi.
Yep.
So be careful what you're.
Yeah, and he's already got some injury issues.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But anyways, let's get to the minutia of why we do watch basketball, and there's some very interesting things going around in the league. And I guess I'm going to start with my power rankings. How's that?
Sure.
Okay, so I am so wanting to slap the NBA right now that I don't have a top 10. I only have a top 8. Because I think everybody after these...
I only have a top 5, so it's okay.
That's what I'm saying, because everything after that is just a mess. And like, you're going to put the Lakers in the top 10?
No.
Okay, well, whatever the case may be.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Top 10? Meh.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I'm going to start at number 8, which is the Denver Nuggets. Number 7, the Houston Rockets. Number 6, the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 5, the New York Knicks. Number 4, the Memphis Grizzlies. The number 3, Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 2, Boston Celtics. And number 1, with our Canadian SGA leading as an MVP candidate, best team in basketball, Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah. So my top 5, I have Denver number 5.
Really? I thought about it, but they didn't rise enough for me yet. Last a couple of weeks.
4 in a row.
Yeah, no, and they're playing much better.
I thought Milwaukee's my honorable mention, by the way.
Okay.
Number 4, I got Memphis.
Right on.
Or actually, wait, no. Sorry, Houston number 5, Memphis number 4, Boston 3, Cleveland 2, OKC 1.
Give me that one more time.
I got Houston 5, Memphis, Boston, Cleveland, OKC.
So you don't think the Knicks are there? Your honorable mention was the Bucks, right?
Yeah, I'm not convinced with the Knicks.
They keep winning though.
What's the record in their last 10? 5-5?
I believe something like that.
And there's still like quite a gap between them and the Celtics.
I don't think they're gonna reach that anyway. So I'm just gonna go this on my take on the whole NBA right now. Look at those top 3 or those top 4 in the Eastern Conference. That's not changing.
Agreed.
They're not changing now. Milwaukee, can they chase?
Maybe
down?
if Orlando gets healthy again, they can climb back up there. Don't you think?
Well, we're gonna wait and see. The only team that I see coming up there is Orlando, and they got Pacero back, and they still haven't.
Wagner came back too, but they still have a slew of injuries.
Yeah, and they're still playing. They're not quite together, but they're the only team that I think that has a fighting chance. I think all the rest of them, Atlanta, we discussed. Miami's problems right there. Philadelphia, their problems right there. And everybody else is just too far back to get it, including our Toronto Raptors, who have played a monicum of better basketball lately.
They finally got a second road win this week.
Thank you very much.
Against Atlanta.
Yeah, and they're playing better as a team, and they're
well, it helps when you're healthy.
Exactly, and their differential in scoring has come way down. With they're only right now they're minus 6.8 or whatever the hell it means. It was up to like 14, 15 a little while ago. So at least there's some improvement there. But my take on it, that's who it's going to be. I really think that the semifinals, I'll even go that now, I still think it's going to be Cleveland and Boston. Because I don't think any of those teams are below them. Like I don't.
The
think
one
Milwaukee,
thing is that Cleveland could run to Milwaukee in the second round.
That's the only team that I'm going to say, because I think you're going to say they're going to wear the Knicks down. The Knicks will be wore out. They'll battle for 6 or 7 games and go home. Sorry, Stephen A., but that's how it's going to work.
Well, the Knicks would play probably Boston second round. I think they're screwed.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't think anyone's going to beat Boston. But I'll get to when we get to the West. And one of my theories about basketball as we get to the West is, and I'm liking it, old school thinking is, I think the top 3 teams in the West will change. I do think that the Nuggets will pass Houston, and Houston will be 4th. So I think it's going to end up being OKC, Memphis, Denver, Houston. That's how I see it playing out, which means Houston will not beat OKC in a best of 7. That's just not happening. So it'll be interesting to see Denver with their medal going against Memphis, who didn't make the playoffs last year because they had so many injuries. But Memphis may be the most fun team to watch in the NBA. They are so much fun. Now, I'm a big Ant-Man guy, but I'm a little bit lately, and we talked about this, is that the difference between Memphis and Minnesota right now is my favorite player, John Morant. He's only scoring 21 a night. He has missed a bunch of games, but he trusts his teammates. Every time you get down to the end, the last 2 minutes of a game, and you're watching Minnesota, Ant-Man's playing hero ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he clanged a couple of shots that were going for game winners, which I thought he shouldn't have taken, and they lost the games.
Yeah, the way Minnesota's going, like they're either, well, if they make it past the play-in, because I wouldn't be shocked if they got eliminated in that stage. They're lining up for first round ups, or to just be eliminated in the first round.
I agree, and it's going to be tough because when you got the play-in, that could be Dallas with Luka coming back.
Yeah, but how long is Luka out for?
Another month, I heard.
Okay.
About a month.
They could still climb out of the play-in, though. Like, would you be shocked if they passed the Lakers or the Clippers?
No. Especially they come in time, because I think that Dallas is a little better constructed than you realize, even though they lost Lively now, which could hurt them too, which could be on the way. But I would be scared if I'm in the play-in and you got to play Dallas. Ooh, I'd be nervous. Like last year, they're finals.
In the finals, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think they're that far away. And like you say, once you get your whole lineup there after injuries, I think that they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Scrappy team. Very scrappy team.
What about down the standings a little bit? Sacramento's climbing their way up, 8-2 in their last 10. They're back in the play-in. Phoenix 7-3 in their last 10. They got a big from Charlotte. I think that's a big piece for them.
I think it is too, and I think that Phoenix they've got 40 games to pull it together.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just too good of a team now. They're the biggest rumor factory going is the Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, and a third team.
Bradley Beal's got no trade clause, though. That's the tricky thing. He's like the only player in the league with it, isn't he?
Basically, yeah. I think there's somebody else. I can't remember. Maybe it's Giannis.
Okay.
I think he's the only one that's got that in his contract. Oh, and LeBron. Of course, LeBron.
I don't think LeBron has one.
Yeah, he does. He has a no trade clause in his contract. In any event, Phoenix is just too good.
Mm-hmm.
They're just too good. No, any way you look at it, like they should not be where they are, but they've had like just a myriad of injuries along the way to get their lineup in. But once they got freaking Booker and Durant out there, and that Grayson Allen schmuck from Duke, he's one of those guys. He's a glue piece. You know what I mean? I've never liked the guy, but I'd have him on my team.
Of course.
He just does shit out there, and he's back, and he's healthy, so I expect Phoenix to rise. As a matter of fact, if Phoenix climbed all the way up to 6, I wouldn't be that surprised at all. I'm just wondering if what's going on, if San Antonio can really make a run, and I think it's really cool. Did you see Wembanyama, because they're having the 2 games in France? Did they have one?
The second
already?
one's today.
Second one's today. Who won the first one? I didn't even check.
Oh, San Antonio smacked them 140-110 the first game.
So everybody's over there just having a good time, right?
Yeah, but I mean, well, the second game going on right now, it's about to go into halftime. Indiana's up by 13 right now.
What a shitty team to send over with them, eh? What a shitty team. I think that Indiana, like, they're people caught on to them. You know, if you play a certain style of play and people look at the film, then they go at you. Like, Tyrese Halliburton is a great player. Doesn't play D. He's not your best shooter. And Siakam's playing a little less than his average, which hurts.
Sure.
At nights is our Canadian boy, Matherin's our best guy on the floor, but he gets himself in trouble because he's a freaking hothead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's got them some texts late in the game. He got suspended recently for one, didn't he? Put his hands on a ref.
Yeah, I think so. That's insane.
You know, I don't know where he learned that. It must have been hockey somewhere on his blood. I don't know.
I don't know. In hockey, they don't touch the refs, though.
You shouldn't do that either. In any event, one of the reasons that I'm so high in OKC is you see that the trail of a season, and they say there's dog days and you don't do this and that. So just look at their run in the East. Okay, they beat Boston, they beat the Knicks, and then they went to Cleveland and lost.
Yeah.
And it was one of SGA's worst shooting nights of the season. And they lost by what? 6? So what happened a week later when Cleveland had to go back and visit OKC?
OKC got the win.
By how much?
Oh, it was a lot, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. I was so excited for the game because I didn't get to see all the first ones. Like, I can't wait to see the rematch. That game was over at halftime. Halftime, that game was over. I couldn't believe it because what is happening here is the reason I'm saying I'm really champion like the OKCs and the Memphises and the Knicks and Cleveland. They go inside.
Yeah.
If they're not making their shots, they go inside. And they all play great D. You know,
sure.
Like they say Boston plays great D, but they just shoot too many threes for my liking. But that's another story. They're just a great team. But the teams that seem to be winning and rising in the standings are the teams that aren't afraid to go inside. And when they're not making the threes in rhythm, they know how to score otherwise.
Yeah.
Because like too many teams try to come back and shooting threes. And you know my story on that. Clang, bricklayers, in suburbia making houses. It's just ridiculous. But I'm really super high on OKC. Look at their lineup. You know, and then the big thing about them is, and he's just less than a month away, Mr. Holmgren is coming back, and they still won with Hargenstein just got banged up, and he's going to miss a few games.
Yeah.
So it tells you their depth. Oh, by the way, do you know how many first-round draft choices they have? And
OKC? They still have a bunch.
So why can't they make a play? Now, there was a very thing that said if a Jimmy Butler could go somewhere, the best package would come from OKC. My take on it is this. As much of a dog as Jimmy Butler is in the playoffs, what would he be like in the dressing room?
That's the big question, isn't it?
They say he's not bad in the dressing room, but I'm saying OKC's chemistry.
Still, you're adding, you're adding another, you're throwing another chemical into that mixture there, right?
So I would be on this thing. OKC, stay away from him.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right guy.
No,
I think you might be looking to bring in some veterans they could play down the bench.
Oh yeah,
kind of like how they brought in Gordon Hayward last year, a guy like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I think the chemistry of their team is so well. Why play with it? And they play hard too. With another 2 Canadians on that team, we got Mr. Dort.
Sure,
and he's an animal. But I'm really high on them, and I really hoping and pray. And I'm going to say every week till the playoffs come in the NBA, please give us an OKC Memphis playoff series.
Yes. I think that's lining up to be the conference final right now, isn't it?
That's kind of sort of, but I mean, Denver might have their say, as you're saying, you put them in your top 5.
Sure.
So a team with that medal, and they got the big guy in the middle who's still playing at MVP numbers, but SGA is by far and away the front runner for the MVP in the NBA right now.
I would say, yeah. How can he not be?
He's just unbelievable. The difference between him, I notice, and the big stars that we talk about a lot because of the way they play, like the Ant-Mans, LaMelo, who am I missing? Ja.
Yeah.
Those guys play a little bit more reckless. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it. Like, did you see Ja go over Wembanyama the other day? That's mad. Okay, it didn't count because it was a step because the ref was blowing the whistle as he was going up. But did you see the highlight?
Yeah, that's insane.
Ja went over Wembanyama, but Ja, when you get up there, gravity has a say in this matter.
Well, Ja, when he comes up, when he does those things, you want to think about the G word.
Yes, exactly. So that's what gets me nervous about him. But when you see Shea going to the thing, he's like an eel through seaweed. You know, the back is in net, and he's going down the court. Hey, how'd you get that in there? You know, he's got those moves.
He's fucking awesome.
Oh, unbelievable. And that short.
I'm so glad he's Canadian.
Me too. And he's got that, the mid-range game, which is like DeRozan's on turbo.
Yeah, basically.
You know what I mean? Like, he's like, when he does that turnaround short.
Which has always been his calling card.
Oh, of course, but
Yeah.
now like that, his handles got much better and his defense has got better because he's got a lot of steals.
Yeah.
He's got he's a great player, and with the dogs he's got around him, he's going to be pretty good. But that's why I like Memphis so much because they got Bane and Jaren Jackson and all those dogs. So it would make just a great series. Just like I'm hoping it's Cleveland and Boston in that conference final because Cleveland's got enough defense to go out and guard the perimeter and enough inside. My guy's Mobley in my preseason prediction. He's becoming everything that I thought he would be. He's only 22. It took him a while to get there, but the guy's just the inside on Cleveland on a good day. They can beat anybody on a good day.
Mobley lining up to be most improved player this year?
Yeah, he's a candidate. Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Good team. But let's just hope that those teams go down there, and the next time we talk about basketball, we will not waste our time talking about the Housewives of Rosedale.
No. Also, big shout out to Lonzo Ball back in action for the Chicago Bulls.
Yes, very much so. I think he was one of the most appreciated players when he was playing the game. Like, he's got skills that LaMelo doesn't have. Like, he's not going to put up 15 threes a night.
No.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you think Lonzo Ball, you think the good passing, like he's a good playmaker, defense, obviously.
Oh, yeah. And grab a rebound.
Yep.
He's pretty good. So come on back. We hope you play at your old level again because I love his style of play. You know what I mean? And sometimes I think LaMelo's way flashier, but at times I'm thinking as a piece on your team, like who does LaMelo have to go with? So he thinks he's got to do it all, and it gets messy.
Yeah.
When I see some Charlotte games. Oh, like what was he the other night? 3 for 13 from 3?
Ugh.
You know?
Anything else to add for basketball?
No, he is still a top 10 scorer.
Sure.
You know what I mean? No, that's enough about basketball. We'll keep you highlighted on all the good things like we want to watch. If you get a chance to see, if you're not watching us basketball people, and I understand why, check out OKC or the Memphis games. They're highly entertaining.
All right. We will move this along to our favorite here at the House That Happens, the NHL, where we will begin with our newest edition of the Power Rankings. Would you like me to start?
Okay, but we said we'd segue into this, okay? And I'm going to segue it to this way. I've been telling people for a long time, you're down in my Cruises Chaos. You know I've got the ability to watch a lot of sports, okay? At this point in the season, I'm going to say, I think I told you this. If there's 6 games on and 4 NBA games and 4 NHL games on, at the end of the night, you say, what were the best games? I'm saying that this season, 9 out of 10 times, the top 2 games are NHL games. And I will say on most nights, the top 3 games are in the NHL because usually out of the 4, one's a dud.
Sure.
So you take it with the dud game on the NHL game, and now we're down to 3 games. A lot of nights, just check your standings, people. Check the scores on a given night, and you will see, like the other night, the basketball games are blowout. Okay, your beloved Leafs lost. We'll get to them in a minute. But the other games are like L.A. beating Florida 2-1. Winnipeg scoring on, I can't believe Sheffley's not on.
Shifley, yeah.
Shifley. I can't believe he's not.
If an injury happens, though.
Why do they not have this guy on the team?
Well, there's rumored attitude problems,
So that's why Hazy B said it. Bring out the best players. Let's be arrogant. We're Canada. Bring our best players. We'll figure it out in the dressing room. Okay, Shifley, you're going to do? You're going to play left wing on the 4th line, and you got to check. That's what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fuck your attitude. Like, let's bring out. And if he's not one of the best players in the league this year, come on.
Well, I think it's more things like when he's in the locker room, how he handles things might rub people the wrong way. That seems to be more the rumor.
Oh, I keep hearing about that, but we got to look the other way sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, but you want to have the right mix there. It's not just about having the best guys; it's about having the right guys.
Okay, that's what they told us at the World Juniors this year. How did that work out?
Okay, but those guys were full of shit. We know that.
Okay. My point is this. Maybe he's pissed that he didn't get picked. Have you seen the guy in the last 10 games?
Oh, a lot of guys that have been left off of their national teams have been on fire like the last month.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. You know what I mean? Like, is Logan Thomas on the team? Thompson?
No, he's left off.
Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. How did you leave that guy off the team? Because you picked too early. That was my bitch when it started. You picked the teams too goddamn early. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's just get back to what we were originally talking about.
Again, though, like that's how it always is for these tournaments, though. Around Olympic team, the rosters come out around the same time.
Okay, it's crazy. But anyways, I'm forgetting about my segue. When we started off about the NBA, what was my problem? Too much stupid drama making headlines. Well, let's be great that we have the NHL because what's our biggest drama?
The JT Miller, Elias Pettersson drama.
That on a scale of 1 to 10 in the NBA is what? 2?
Like, yeah, 2 or 3.
Maybe 3? 2 or 3 on the whole thing. So I want to respect whatever it is, the acumen about hockey, type of players, maybe more international. I don't know. But if that's the biggest drama we got in the league, we got no drama.
That and someone throwing nachos at Corey Perry.
That's just so insane.
And he scored too.
And technically, that goal should have been illegal.
Yeah.
Should have been technically, it wasn't, because goalie was kind of like, whoa, for a second. And
because like debris hit the ice, right? It
so
should be whistle blown.
And all it does is that 1 second is all you need for a goalie to blink. Puck's red light goes on. You know what I'm saying? But
that's a message for the goalies. Like, don't worry about shit. Just make the save.
Make the save. Anyway, to make a long story short, I'm commending the NHL for making me watch more games, because the reason we watch it is, we say here at the House that happens, highest level of competition. We're getting it in the NHL this year in spades.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into our power rankings.
You can go first.
All right. So number 10, I got Florida.
What? Okay.
They've been kind of treading water. They've been,
okay, you're going to be interested to find where I find the Panthers too.
Number 9, LA.
Okay.
Number 8, Minnesota.
What?
Number 7, Vegas.
What?
Number 6, Dallas.
Did I give you something to go home with last week? Continue.
Number 5, Toronto.
We have something the same.
Number 4, Carolina.
Whoa! Where did this come from?
Look at how they've climbed up the standings.
Saying, you haven't said a good word about Carolina since you didn't have hair on your balls. Come on. Okay, continue.
Number 3, Edmonton.
Okay.
Number 2, Winnipeg.
Okay.
And number 1, Washington.
Okay, so we got to discuss this in earnest in a second. So I'll give you my top 10, all right? Number 10, the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
Number 9, how'd you leave out the Avs?
They've been not that 500 their last 5 games.
They might even come in second place. But anyways, they've been playing good. Great game, them in Winnipeg the other night. Hell of a game.
They've been treading water, though.
Well, we'll see. We'll discuss this trade in a minute. But
obviously, yes.
Number 8, I have Carolina. Okay, compared to where you have them. Number 7, I have the Kings. Number 6, I have the Panthers. Okay, they have fallen to 10th.
They've been treading water.
Because, I think they're the champions. People take a shot at them all the time, and maybe they're a little lax. I can't see them as 10. 9 teams better in Florida. Okay, that's subjective. Number 5, I have your beloved Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 4, I have the Oilers.
Okay.
Number 3, I have the Capitals.
Number 3?
Yes. You have number 1, right?
Yeah.
I got them at number 3. I haven't. That's the highest
They've
I've
won
had
6 in a row.
So what? Who they played?
Oh, my God.
Who they play? So what? Number 2, that's 2 teams I haven't given enough respect to next year. You got to give me credit for that. I got Capitals at 3, the Jets at 2, and Vegas at number 1. I'm not taking Vegas out of there. No
Even though
way.
Vegas has lost 7 of their last 10.
Only because you know what it is? They're shuffling the lineup, and they've lost a lot of games.
Oh, making excuses.
They're not playing bad. Look at the scores. They've a couple of those games they lost in overtime. A game they lost.
I know, they were the one in St. Louis. Yeah, they lost the shootout.
Yeah,
but they were down that game.
But it just seems like they've got all the elements that when they turn up the burners, they're going to be there. Number 1 thing I give them is toughness.
Sure.
Their toughness is second to none, which is this little sequel I wanted to bring up, because you say maybe it's because I'm watching too much hockey, is the fact that the whole violent aspect of what we like in the NHL is in the forefront more than I've seen in a long time.
Oh, the fighting?
All the aggressive insanity that goes on out there. It's like, maybe I've heard this and I'm saying maybe it's true. They're starting to ref the games now like they should be reffing them in the playoffs. Because sometimes you see the games, they're getting there, and like if you do something stupid in the late game, like you'll get, like I've noticed this year, you have to do something, if it's a tight game, you have to do something flagrant to get the call in the last 7 or 8 minutes. Where in the past year, you just got it, the guy, ref is blowing. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure. You know what I'm getting at?
Well, if it means that they're going to call the game more consistently, I'm fine with that.
That's what I'm saying. But have you noticed, when you watch the games now, if it's
no, that's a good point, actually. It is true.
Yeah, like I've noticed that there. But now there has been a couple where the guy looked at the referee like you mugged the guy.
Yeah.
With 2 minutes left. Buddy, you got to go to the box. The obvious ones, you can't let them go. But you know those little ticky-tack ones that you see along the way that might call in the first period? They don't necessarily call in the second period. And I've seen some insane penalties. You see the one against Matthews the other night?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
What, the stick one?
Yeah. Mistake. He reached down. The guy knocked the stick out of his hands.
Yeah, but he can't pick up another player's stick,
He
though.
just reached for the stick, and then when he realized, he let it go. But meanwhile, where's his stick? And the goalie's...
Well, they both got called for penalties.
Well, that's the only way they could get there. That's what
Yeah.
made it fair. But when I first saw it, I go, what did Matthews do? What did he do?
Illegal equipment.
Well, at any rate, we'll get
At first, I thought it was like, did someone have like an illegal curve or something? They were like, oh.
When's the last time you heard an illegal curve call, by the way?
Well, because that one, like the other team basically has to like call it out to the ref, right?
I agree, but
Like
when
the
have you heard
famous
it?
Montreal, LA, Marty
that's
McSorley
my
one.
favorite. That's my favorite of all
Well,
time.
that was the turning point of that series, arguably.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you old enough to be watching that? No.
I was born that year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was crazy. Like,
I just know from what the old NHL network seeing that.
oh yeah, but you know everyone still bitch. Toronto will never forget that year ever.
Well, Kerry Fraser, yeah.
No one will ever forget that. No, and Dougie still smirks or growls whenever you hear they bring it up. Like if it was on Overdrive or those guys talking about it, Dougie still about that. And then Gretzky goes on to the next round, and maybe it was just justice. But everybody knew about McSorley's stick because you hear that stuff around the rumors. I've talked to ex-NHL guys like at Shoeys and shit, and they talk about the little things like guys with illegal gloves.
Yeah.
A lot of illegal gloves in that you're supposed to wear certain things. They don't. Shit like that. But I haven't heard a curve stick call since when? 91?
I remember when I was like a teenager, like the buzz about Kovalchuk was like he had a curve that was like it was a crazy curve, but it was only illegal in the shootout or something. He couldn't use it in the shootout. I don't know.
Did you see the hook on his stick?
Yeah, it was pretty unreal.
Yeah, that was like going back to the 70s. You know what I mean? And when I used to play road hockey when I was a kid, guys were so stupid. You know, you take the I don't know.
Put on the stove.
Yeah, and like, these guys would have hooks like you could pick it up like a lacrosse stick, the road hockey ball. You know what I mean? In the little groove there. I always had a little one curve because I always kept the ball down more. Because when I first went to a big curve, and some of these guys, it's changed the game. Part of the reason I'm noticing that now too is some of the torque in the stick with the hybrid blades. That's why they're missing the net. Go practice with those sticks. Sick of missing shots, bro. I'm saying now, we're going to have that discussion for a second about, I had it with Serge, and they were talking about his son, his nephew, and how they coached him in juniors. Don't shoot here, pass here. Like Serge asked, Zach, how come you don't do this? Oh, the coach said we can't do that. What?
Like
so,
what?
Like take a shot because you'll lose possession. Your theory.
Yeah, possession is huge right now.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and Serge and I had this discussion. Serge, I hope you're listening. Here's my take on it. Start firing the puck at the goddamn net if you're behind. Too many extra passes, intercepted. You seen it against Montreal last week. What did we do? Extra pass down the ice, Matthews in the net kind of deal. Sometimes you just got to shoot the puck. If the guy blocks the puck and you're outworking the guy, get the rebound. Go get the rebound. We're going to go round in circles. Oh, look at that. Went out of bounds. Face off. Stop it. Shoot the puck. You know, if you get more block shots, I'll give you credit for that. But go into the shooting lanes and fire the puck more. How many games have you seen, bro? Extra passes. Or
yeah, it could be frustrating.
And throwing it to the spot. It's like the guy that's going in for the layup in the NBA and he throws it back to the three-point line. What are you doing? Shoot the goddamn thing. See that?
My problem is the Leafs power play.
Oh, too many passes on that. That's they're
like I would love to see like another camera angle where it's like, are the other team just like covering the shooting lanes that much? Or like what's going on here? Like,
why don't they ever show that angle from behind the net more? Do you ever see that?
Yeah, TSN used to show that a little bit more. They don't show it as much anymore.
One of the Yank channels show it, and you know when they do show it the most is during the power play.
That's when you should see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, it looks so good because they were showing how it was set up, and then you seen it there. Then when you show the replay, they show that replay because you got a better view of what's going on. We're traditionally looking at the game one way, which is cool. I don't have a problem with that. But shoot the goddamn puck. And I like that angle because I can see the lanes. Hey, that looked like that was open. That looked like that was open to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's got to change for me.
Yeah.
Make more shots. And you know what? I've really noticed that maybe because I bitched loud enough about it. Do you notice that shot attempts coming on the screen hasn't been coming up as much as it used to?
They flash like a couple times a period, don't they?
To watch tonight, look around the league and like.
Well, TSN shows it more than Sportsnet. I noticed as well.
Because I think someone just said you're just showing the guys are bad shooters.
or that the shots are getting blocked.
Okay, and I don't mind block shots.
That's part of shot attempts as well.
Okay, so so let's verify it. We're gonna have the Milani Cruz metric. If you take a shot and a defenseman blocks it, I'll give you a shot attempt. If you take a shot and it's a 9-iron that goes into the screen, I'm not giving you a shot attempt.
Well, if it was deflected, that counts as a block.
No, not those ones where the guy shooting it goes over the goddamn net. Like, you know what the problem with is it Tanev or McCabe? Every time they shoot, it's over the goddamn. And I love their playing. I love that tandem. I think it's one of the best in the league this year, honestly. Yeah. But was it Tanev or McCabe? One of them. Watch tonight when they're playing. They'll let one rip, and that's get Berube on the side.
I think it's McCabe.
Is it McCabe, right? Yeah. He lets it rip, and everyone's ducking. You see Nylander moving. McCabe winds up moving. Nylander gets out of the way. What is that telling you? So,
I'm not going to be too hard on McCabe because he's having his best season as a Leaf by far.
Let's not even go there because I do. Like, when he's out of the lineup, they noticed it. Okay, kind of deal.
Agreed.
But I'm just saying that I think you should shoot the puck more. And it's really sad that I had to hear that already in the O on that level of which is like a progression to the big leagues, that they're already teaching it back there. I understand possession.
Well, you're telling them how to play a game style that's going to translate to the NHL, though.
But I'm saying that's what kind of irks me a bit because you're already teaching them down there. So you're already teaching them like what I want more offense. Okay, that's all.
Well, there has been more offense though.
Well, because it's a little bit more open up. I mean,
there you go.
Since they took out had to take out a freaking line to make it better.
Oh, I hated the 2-line pass. Good riddance.
What's that?
Good riddance. 2-line pass.
I grew up on that. Okay, so I'm like, okay, whatever.
Let's speed up the game. Like, why? Anyways, let's not get lost in a tangent. I want to get to some news around the league.
No, before you get away with that, that's called the generational divide.
Sure.
That's what that's called.
That was always the first rule I always turned off in the video games. 2-line pass off. Regular offsides can stay.
Okay.
It's like, why can't I no, it's stupid. Anyways.
All us old folks were just scratching our head. Continue.
So Sidney Crosby passed Joe Sakic, my favorite player of all time, for 9th on the all-time points list. So big congratulations to Sid over there, greatest player of his generation. Sorry, Ovi.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Sorry, love you, Ovi. Get your record, but no, come down to your drafting, Sid or
Sid any day.
Not even. I don't even blink.
Alex Nedeljkovic became the first goalie to score a goal and get an assist in the same game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was a good stat. Yeah, and it was interesting that he did it. I love how the players all get, that's the camaraderie.
Oh, and a goalie scores a goal.
It's just so cool.
Yeah.
When the camaraderie. Speaking of guys I was talking about earlier, who's really been getting my attention lately, continue on, is that Heshire guy on...
Sure?
Yeah. I'm noticing him a lot.
Little Datsukian.
What's that?
He reminds me a little bit of Datsuk. Yeah.
Interesting.
He's got the handles. He's got the defense. Great skater.
Oh, his skating. His skating. That's what I love about that guy, his skating. But I never thought about the Datsuk angle.
Well, because Datsuk, those were the 3 things you thought about. His hands, his skating, and his defense.
Point well taken. But his production has gone up, and you notice him every game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He plays with Pratt, though, right?
Yeah, he's on the second line.
Yeah.
Hughes is the first line there.
Yeah, and he's on the second line. So he's playing. He's not even playing with Hughes, and he's just great. That's why I don't think Jersey should be playing better. But continue, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Ovechkin scored on his 179th goalie, taking the record from Jaromir Jagr. I understand this means a lot. It doesn't mean a lot at the same time, but I just think it's a cool thing to have a little notch on the belt.
Well, since you were talking about it, I do think it's pretty cool because one day in his man cave, he's going to have some stuff on the wall.
Yeah, all the goalies he scored on.
All that shit. That would be, it's like your thing that you've got on your phone about filling in all the spots when you're going to baseball. That's, I think.
Hockey,
I'm, for hockey, but my take on it is, at first I was going, whatever. But when you think about it, it is kind of
pretty cool.
Yeah, like that'll be a trivia question.
He's gonna get to 180. You would think this season some way somehow. But
because he's gonna face somebody late in the season. That's kid getting called up or whatever the case may be. And I think he scored the most goals on Carey Price, isn't it? It's a big goalie that he scored the most.
Yeah, I think it is Carey Price.
But I mean, when you hear the guy who scored the most goals on, you go, "Whoa, that's interesting."
Yeah, I think Fleury and Lundqvist are up there too.
Maybe it's Fleury he's got the most on.
Yeah,
but Fleury, Lundqvist, and Price are all high up on the list.
Yeah,
interesting.
The NHL announced 2 outdoor games, both in Florida. Miami will get the Winter Classic on January 2nd, 2026. It's going to be Panthers Rangers, And Tampa is getting a Stadium Series game February 1st of next year. It's going to be Tampa Bay versus Boston.
I think those are going to be the sloppiest games. I'm going to predict right now. You know why?
Well, Miami, is it retractable to roof? I mean, I guess they're going to try and open it, but
whatever the case may be, they're going to Florida to have an outdoor game. Give me a break. It's like the LA thing. I think it's all gimmicky.
Well, technology's progressed. That game was 10 years ago.
Agreed. And they're air conditioning the fields in freaking Saudi Arabia, so I guess anything's possible. If you want to look at it that way. I just think the guys are going to be down there because everyone knows the Florida trip, you're having a good time. They're all bringing their clubs.
Of course.
You know what I mean? You're playing outdoors. It's national TV, blah, 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 blah. And how many of those games are good this year? Look at the game at Wrigley Field. I think it was cool it was at Wrigley, but I think the sight lines there are brutal. Don't have another game there. It doesn't, to me, did it look good to you?
I don't know. It is a little weird. It's tough to say unless you're there, though. I haven't heard any complaints from fans.
No, because they all think it's great. We're at Wrigley Field to watch hockey. It's like when they did it at Fenway. But Fenway was cooler because it's tighter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just made, granted, Wrigley Field one of those national archive places now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's not like Tiger Stadium, they knocked it down, or the other. No, this place is now considered a...
Yeah, it's a landmark.
A landmark, yeah. So it's going to be there. An interesting fact about that. But anyways, the outdoor games in Florida, I'm just going, okay.
Could be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Could be good games.
Sloppy.
Obviously, we talked about the Canucks hoo-ha going on between Pettersson and Miller. Miller was almost traded last Saturday.
Heard it was over a draft pick, wasn't it?
Yes, so he would have gone back to the New York Rangers, the team where he started with, for Hedl, Charlie Lindgren, and a first-round pick, but the disagreement was on the trade protection on the first rounder going to Vancouver.
Yeah, I knew that was a stalling point. And I don't know if I'd give up a first-round pick for JT Miller, because guess who went knocking on the door? Hughes of Montreal.
Oh, for JT Miller?
Yeah, I heard he...
Is that the guy you want to throw in the locker room with the young team? No, that's the thing.
That's when I heard that. I said, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I just heard it was a kick at the tires. Every GM probably gave a kick at the tires. It's just funny that Montreal's come up, and we'll get to Montreal in a minute.
Well, you guys need a center, too, so...
Oh, you think? Okay. But I didn't notice that.
You only mentioned every show.
Okay, and it's not that I like. Have I missed a shift of a Hab game this year? I'm wondering if I missed a shift. But anyways, as you're getting at, the JT Miller thing, I think it's a high level drama for the NHL.
And he's playing like shit too. I saw some of the Vancouver Edmonton game last Saturday, and like he threw the puck around the boards. And it's like, he threw it in hard. It's like, all he had to do was dump it in softly. Meanwhile, he gave Edmonton like a rush chance the other way because he went back the other way.
And they scored on the rush.
I'm thinking of a different one, but yeah.
One of those ones, or maybe the game, they were saying that.
He's playing awful. He's playing awful.
And he's not doing his forechecking like he used to. You know how he's storming in there, like the power forward type guy?
How much do you want to bet that him and Pettersson are both going to be traded because of this?
If Tocchet has his way, they're out of town already. Like, that's not Rick Tocchet's MO anyway. So you must want to go in there and punch him in the face.
It's getting ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. But you see...
Like, you're supposed to be... Like last year, the Canucks were... They were awesome. I understand this year there's been some problems with goaltending and whatever. Yes. But, like, come on. Like you're... Like, figure it out, guys.
Okay, well,
you're the Vancouver Canucks. You're a good team, man. Look at the players you got on that roster. It's insane. Okay, Quinn Hughes is playing amazing, and this season's being wasted.
Oh, there you go. He's top 10, maybe top 5 this year. Guy's been amazing.
Agreed.
But where do you put him in? Does that mean that he's going to be the front? Because we'll talk about this for a second, because it's mid-season about the Norris. I don't think we can count out a guy I thought it might have been on a trading block 6 weeks ago.
He's leading the charge if you ask me.
Oh, I have to say that he has to be up there. Huge.
Him and Makar, it's got to be between them two.
Too, but then Hughes has had just as good as a season. I think that what's going on in Vancouver because of the fall-off will probably cost him in some votes because
100%.
The rise of Columbus and just Makar being Makar and where they're going to be by the end of the season is probably going to make that equation a lot simpler of the time. But, I don't know. I'm just saying what thing about Vancouver, and you look at them right now, they're even outside looking in.
Yeah, it's going to come down to them in Calgary, I think, for that final playoff spot.
Because I do think that the top 4 teams in the Central are going to make it. They're all in your top 10 except for Colorado. And I've fallen off the Minnesota bandwagon, as you've noticed. Just not tough enough, bro. That's what I'm saying. When you look at some of these games, get the third period, you got to be able to hit and get back up.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be going away. I think that Edmonton has an outside chance of catching Vegas, which would make me have them my number one team maybe by the time we get to April. Okay, which since we're speaking of...
Well, I mean, aren't they ahead of Vegas right now?
No, they're just behind. Just behind by a point.
Oh, by 1 point.
But
with the
they have
game
a
in hand.
So, you know what I mean? Which, since we're talking about Edmonton, we would be remiss if we didn't discuss the Connor McDavid suspension.
Yes. For cross-checking Connor Garland in the head. Him and Tyler Myers both got 3 games for the incidents at the end of that game.
I thought it was the law of the land, and what we want to take out of hockey, there had to be definitely some kind of punishment involved.
Oh, of course. You can't do that.
Okay. Was it any more egregious than Matthews?
Now, Connor Garland should have got called for a penalty for
manhandling
McDavid.
Oh, my God.
There.
Okay, that's what we're getting at. And it wasn't, I don't think it was any more egregious than what Matthews did. Think about it.
With the stick?
Yeah.
Or with his suspension last
Yeah,
year.
he got 2. How come David got 3? Is because his teammate got 3? Because Myers deserved 3.
Yeah. That's
just a gimme. That was an easy. That's like the pass interference play when you drag the guy down. You had no choice but to throw a flag. Come on. That's where we're at.
I know. NHL player safety, they love their inconsistency. What can I say?
Oh, well, there you're going to go. But he got 3 games.
Yeah.
Those 3 games could have an effect
of course,
on what's going on in the standings for the rest of the year.
But he's got a teammate that's probably the front runner for MVP right now.
You keep saying that. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon.
First in goals, first in game-winning goals, first in even strength goals, second in points, third in plus minus, third in face-off percentage.
He's having a good year.
He's having a great year.
He's having a good year. But we'll have to wait and see if we get up there, because what happens if Connor McDavid comes back and storms into the wins the Art Ross?
I have my doubts.
I don't think he's that far behind.
He is and he isn't. So I definitely wouldn't say he's the favorite. I definitely wouldn't vote for him if he gave me even odds.
Okay, so like right now we're going to go through the whole thing. We're selling the goddamn Vezina to Hellebuck. I'm getting sick of that mofo.
He's leading in all the goalie categories, Cruz. I know what else you want from the guy.
Yeah, he plays in Winnipeg. Okay, he's Ken Dryden, okay, which isn't a bad thing. But
because Ken Dryden never got the Vezina.
No, and this guy gets fed them. No, he did them back then because the Vezina was based on the best goals against average per team.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, that's what was back in the game. Got it, but they never said about who was the best goalie, because some years Fuhr was better, sometimes Billy Smith was better, but Montreal played that defensive system, so it worked out well for them. But you look around now, you got Hellebuck is the gimme for Vezina. Let's not even talk about it. I think the most interesting race to me, because the Art Ross is going to be McKinnon or Draisaitl, which means probably one of those guys will end up with the MVP. We just discussed who's going to win the Norris. I think the most interesting a race is going to be for the Selke.
Usually is interesting. I know Marner's getting a lot of buzz this year.
He should be getting the buzz. It was my pick. I think preseason. Wasn't he my pick for Selke?
Let me double check that.
I might have had him in the Selke thing. Okay, which, since we're here, let's get to the Toronto Maple Leaf report.
So you picked Aho to win the Selke.
Oh, right. And he guess what?
He's up there too.
He's up there too. Yeah. But if I had my choice right now between the two of them, I'm taking Marner.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? And we're missing somebody. The perennial. But he's not having
Barkov.
But he's not having quite the season that he's had in the past. I think it's just because Florida coasts from some time, and if he could get it just on reputation.
Sure.
But I'm
usually how that award goes.
Okay, but I'm suspecting now there's got to be a change in the lineup, because where Aho and Carolina is and where Marner and the Leafs are.
Yeah.
Which brings
hold on, before we get to the Leafs, we got to bring up that big trade that went down
we're
late
gonna
last
get
night.
that. Yes.
Colorado, Carolina, and Chicago swinging a 3-team blockbuster.
Wow.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
And I found out about it as you were walking in the door this morning. Just tell you how much fun I was having
You should
last
check
night.
the WhatsApp group. I posted it right when it happened.
I probably didn't know where my phone was. Interesting trade, though.
Yeah, either way, Carolina gets Mikko Rantanen from Colorado and Taylor Hall from Chicago alongside prospect Niels Ljungtrop. He's a 22-year-old. Colorado gets Martin Necas and Jack Drury from Carolina. They also get a 2025 second and a 2026 fourth. Chicago reacquires their own 2025 third from Carolina and retains half of Rantanen's salary.
That's the part of the trade that I'm still trying to get my head around.
Yeah, like were you that desperate to get rid of Taylor Hall? Like,
but his contract was expiring.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I'm not saying, like, what did it do?
It feels like they got fleeced a little bit.
Yeah, or why? They just know that they're out of it, and they just want to get rid of his contract so they don't have to deal with him next year. He's a free agent. He's been unrestricted.
I mean, he was having a pretty bad season.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Okay, but he'll be the fourth-line center on Calgary.
Hall?
Maybe
no, he's a winger.
I mean, he'll be the fourth line. If he's your fourth-line winger.
Probably third line, yeah.
3 years away from winning, or 4 years away from winning MVP.
Longer than that.
2019?
17.
It's been not long.
Yeah, it's been 8 years.
Time slipping into the future. Ooh. In any event, I think it's an interesting trade because I like that Nessa guy, Nacius, whatever his name is. I've been talking about him a few times this year. I thought he was rising up. I think he'll be an interesting fit on...
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely trading him when his value's high. So, I mean, good for Carolina for getting maximum value. They definitely get the best player out of that deal with Mikko Rantanen.
Is that you win the thing. And what does Carolina need more than anything?
This has been my number one knock on them. Their lack of superstar talent,
and they don't have.
And they just got a superstar winger.
Talent. That should up them, and which should cover up because their goaltending's been better of late.
Yeah, and Anderson's back for them. Yeah,
so their goaltending's been late. So I think it's a great move for them, and which would already say they've been rising up in the standings last couple of weeks just by your power rankings that you put them in there. So we know that they're going to be there. And one thing about Carolina, I do like too, their no-name defense is big.
Yeah,
I don't care if you don't know who they are. Watch them play.
Well, the real fans know like guys like Jacob Slavin. That guy's a beast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they got a couple other guys, even their third line pair. I forget, one guy's from Finland or somewhere. I don't know. Mm-hmm. All big boys back there, man. Like 6-footers that are skating side to side, hitting everything. Yeah. And you're not going to beat Florida unless you're hitting everything.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I give them that huge move. But I also think it's a move for a good move for Colorado, and it puts some depth in the center there. And I think they've got enough scoring throughout their lineup because they're a team that can score. So I think they sacrificed a little bit of offense to get a little bit of more defense because Rantanen's never going to be up for the Selke.
No.
You know what I mean? Nessus, whatever his name
is,
he could one day be a potential Selke guy. Two-way player.
We'll see.
Yeah, I like the way he plays. I really like him a lot. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
interesting trade. Huge trade.
McKinnon, Nacius, and Middlestat now down the middle for Colorado. That's a pretty strong 1-2-3.
That's what I was thinking. You know what I mean? And Colorado's a great skating team.
Yeah.
And he's a great skater, so he's going to fit right in. You know what I mean? We'll wait and see. We've got a few games to go, a bunch of games to go. We'll see how it works out.
I'm wondering about Carolina if they still take another swing.
Why not?
Especially like to try and beef up their goaltending.
And not only that, they have a little bit of cap space.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So add it all up. They could be a big player at the trade deadline. The question is going to be when we get the trade deadline, 3 or 4 teams are all looking for the same thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I wonder how much you're going to give up. There's going to be some overpaying, as usual, but probably exceedingly more because the parity in the league this year. Like we have to take a look at the especially the Eastern Conference. Last 20 games of the year is going to be so much fun.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially for a guy like me who you just tossed my boys into the freaking lake at the beginning of the season. And now what do you got to say now?
Hey, no, they're going to be up there battling for those final 2 playoff spots. It's going to come down to Ottawa, Columbus, Boston, Montreal.
And Boston is what I'm going to tell you about this right now, and it's one of my biggest peeves ever, is that Boston is at a differential of -22.
Yeah.
Teams don't make the playoffs at -22.
Well, Washington last year, but...
Yeah, but they were only minus what? They weren't a huge minus. They were under...
I think they were.
I think they were under 15, weren't they? I'd have to go check it. We'll do that another time. But
I thought they were like -30.
Wow.
I thought so.
In any event, that's a fluke that you get there. The greatest thing is when you think about it, the teams like Detroit and Montreal, who were like up in the 30s a while ago, have come down to half of that, which is telling you they are playing better hockey.
Detroit's a weird up and down team, though.
Played good against us. They bushwhacked us in the first period the other night. We didn't recover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone's screaming out Monty Bomb again. He let up one bad goal. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been in the third period. Should have been 5.
I was surprised, like after the game I went to on Saturday, how all over him the fans were.
Oh,
like,
it's
brutal. I didn't think he was the issue, though.
No, we'll discuss that in a minute. But in any event, that's just the fickleness of fans.
Yeah, a couple more things around the league just before we get to Leafs. So Jonathan Taves not coming back this season.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Anaheim signs Frank Vetrano to a 3-year extension. The most interesting part of that is the deferred money. So a lot of the money is being pushed into the future.
Is that a California thing?
I don't know. He seems to be happy there.
Oh, yeah.
So I think his family likes it there. So I think that's part of the reason why he took that deal to stay there.
Yep.
This is legal as part of the salary cap, as part of the CBA. It's just highly unusual.
Yep.
Pittsburgh puts Tristan Jarry on waivers. That was a big surprise, especially considering they signed all that money a couple years ago. Utah having trouble trademarking the Utah Yeti name.
Oh, come on. It's so brutal. Like, who wants it? What are you going to be calling him? Stop it. What's your mascot going to look like?
Just keep the Utah HC.
I think that's cool. Like, one team to be doing that? Why not?
I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't mind it either. I think it'll be a signature thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Make you unique.
And your buddy Gary Bettman prepping for retirement.
Stop it. The day that he comes to the microphone and says, I've retired, we'll have a drink.
Well, he's been on the job for 30 years.
Exactly, but he's only what? He's only in his early 70s.
Only.
Or late. Well, I'm getting there for one of these days. So yeah,
that's retirement age.
Well, great, but a position like that. Anyways, he's been 30 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, in any event, I still say I just think it's just because what they're doing is prepping for the new guy. So we'll all start getting the rumor mill going. So who's qualified? Who's this? You know, all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see Bettman. I see at least 2. He says 2 more seasons. Then it's going to be 4.
Okay. Multiply it by 2. Yeah. And last but not least, John Klingberg signed a deal with Edmonton Oilers.
Interesting.
I thought it was a good low risk move.
Yeah, low risk, high reward.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially, that's going to go there. I hear what you're saying. Which brings us now to...
Yes, the Toronto Maple Leaf report where Anthony Stolarz is practicing. Big news for us fans.
So you're bringing up Matt Martin? You going to play tonight? Matt Murray, you going to bring him up? You going to play tonight?
I think Wall's in net tonight.
Better be.
Against Ottawa.
I like Hill to be better than...
yeah, but Hill to be, like, you look at his numbers, like, let him develop in the minors. I'm fine with that.
I know, because...
And Murray's been on fire in the minors, so I think you should reward that play.
Hill to be was player of the week. Before the week
that's
he came
fine.
up.
And we rewarded him with the call-up.
Okay, so the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I trust Hill to be more than Matt Murray. The problem with Hill to be, and we talked about it the other night, he just goes down too quick sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's a big boy.
Very big.
Very big. So
they call him the Hilda Beast for a reason.
Exactly. So 2 goals that in the Columbus game that he played, 2 of those goals, if he was standing up, they would have hit him.
Yeah.
That's what drives me crazy, because he's great side to side for a big man. Reflexes are fine, good glove hand. But when you're down on your knees and a guy's got a slingshot coming at you, before you move your shoulder, the red light's on. That's the only issue I have with him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But as we're speaking about the Toronto Maple Leafs, I've got them 5th in the rankings, and so do you. We could have them higher, really. I just think that we're reserving judgment on them because there's such omnipresence in our life every goddamn day. But Toronto has no issues right now, and I'm wondering what they're going to get at the trade deadline. That's the word.
Third line center and a defenseman, I think, are on their wish list.
Dear Santa Claus, I am Columbus. Dear Santa Claus, I'm Montreal. Dear Santa Claus, I'm Colorado. Oh, gee, what do they all want? Third line center and an extra defenseman. Come on. So I'm saying, if I was the Leafs, I'd be very careful of what you're going to get. Maybe bring back Shen. Okay, that's the only thing that I see is viable. Why would you give up any of your assets now? First guy's name come up is Minton, and the other guy is... who's your guy in the minors?
Easton Cowan?
Yeah, every time you hear the Leafs, anything about...
I'm wondering if they do have to get rid of Cowan.
Why? Too many of the same players?
Yeah.
I would see that. And if I had the choice right now, I would keep Minton over...
yeah, just because he's closer.
Yeah, and the way he's playing right now, he didn't look out of place the other night. And
No. He's going to be back in the lineup tonight as well.
Okay, so, and I'm all too bad about John Tavares, so for that freaky...
And Nyes.
Oh, yeah, and Nyes, those freaky injuries, man. That's a drag. Tavares will be back in a week, though, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's out too long. Same with Nyes. I doubt he's going to miss too much time.
And Nyes is having a season.
Yeah.
Like that's
Mind you, it gives an opportunity for McMahon to play with the big boys tonight. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, so here's one of my beefs about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm going to say it, and when we get to our Montreal thing, I'll say this is the difference. I understand that you got to let guys play. You can't let them in the press box forever. However... when you do get these guys on the ice, sometimes the juggling I see is a little weird. For example, the other night when Toronto was flat against Columbus, when did they get the spark? When they put back Domi, Robertson, And McMahon on the same line again. They went out there and they did some damage. Robertson hit the post. They had scoring chances. My thing is, Berube, who is a good coach, but he's more D than anything. We know that. Why didn't you put that line out there in the first period?
Well, I think you want to get the top two lines going first.
Okay, so
you want to get the Matthews and Nylander lines going. You want to try and figure it out for them first. Then if it's not working there, okay, then you have like the break in case of emergency. Domi, McMahon, Robertson.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a great example right here, and he was on at Christmas time when they were already talking about it. Dvorak was a guy that everybody would be snooping up as your third line center. One of the reasons that Montreal's had to turn around is that's one of their best lines. They do everything. That Anderson, Dvorak, Gallagher line.
Right.
You notice them every game. At every game they go out there and they play together. Same thing now is finally got their shit together in Montreal. Just leave Coffey.
Are they still together though?
Who?
Dvorak. They're back together. No, the game I was at, they weren't together. Gallagher and Anderson were on different lines.
Because what's his name? They had an injury. They were trying to figure out what to do with the other guys, Pizzata and their Hellman guy that got in the car accident, who was very important to us on the fourth line.
Sure.
You know, and he scored some big goals. He had 11 goals this year, I believe, already as a kid or whatever was close to him. So that kind of hurt us. So there was a little adjustment. But did you notice that by the third period, they were back playing together? And I'm saying, if you look around the team, the top six guys, well, now it's going to change with Rantanen. Top six guys in LA, top six guys on Colorado. I've noticed every game those guys play together all the time. It's called chemistry. See the other night too? Nylander, backhand pass into the slot. That's usually where Tavares is. Didn't have chemistry with the guy. Where'd it go? Puck went the other way. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about.
Okay, but like Tavares is out. You got to pair him up with somebody else. That's just the way it is.
Agree. Well, then let Nylander play with whoever. Let him play all the rest of the game with whoever that guy is, because you got to get used to Nylander. And don't tell me that I'm comparing Nylander to Sundin. Let's get that off the table right now. Two different players.
I'm not saying you're comparing them. I'm saying the way you talk about them.
Okay,
it just you spin it as a positive for one and a negative for the other?
There's a little bit of something in the air here that maybe we have to clear up. Willie Nylander is Willie Nylander. Okay?
Okay.
He's got his cards on the table. We see him all the time. I don't think Matt Sundin always had his cards on the table about certain aspects that you're like thinking. What? I don't know. I got some dog treats here. Where are they made? Let me just check that out. In any event, my point being is this. I'm not a Sundin fan. You know that.
No shit.
Okay. I got nothing to do with that guy. Nylander is just a different player in this respect.
Okay.
Sometimes Nylander goes in front of the net now. Sundin and Nylander will never be known for driving anybody through the boards.
Sure.
Okay, we get that. But I do notice that Nylander's not afraid to go into traffic. And that makes a big difference. And the big thing about Nylander is he has gotten bigger. And I hope he comes to every press conference with no tarp on. Okay? I hope he does.
Well, he's keeping that streak strong.
Definitely. And the smirk on his face when he's doing the pressers is going, he's going to get money out of this in Sweden. Maybe not here, but he's going to do something. But you know what it is about Nylander? How do you describe his style of play?
Kind of like slick, slippery.
Oh,
you know.
I watch a lot of hockey. There's not a lot of guys that move on the ice like Nylander. He's just got, I don't know what it is. Sneaky, great shot, always
great IQ.
Ridiculous. And he's sneaky about getting the puck behind the net. Like, he's gotten better at that. I think the main thing is he's just grown up. Because remember when he came in the league, he wasn't much fatter than his stick.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I go, they're questioning his toughness, which I don't think you have to question anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he's strong. He's strong on the skates. It's hard to knock him off. I think that he should forecheck a little bit more, but he's Willie Nylander, and he's from Sweden. So, we got to deal with that. But I love his style of play. I really do. And especially this year, he went 9 games without a goal. And remember the whispers? Oh, money, this, that. He had 1 million chances.
No, I know.
He had 1,000 chances.
Oh, you didn't hear me criticizing him?
Thank you. But I'm saying he got goalied, even against Columbus.
Well, the whole team got goalied against Columbus.
But I'm saying, like, and was another game, too, where he scored late. In the first period, Montreal, the one big chance they had was Nylander last week.
I would say, like, on Saturday, he was the one that broke that game wide open. Third period, like, 20 seconds in, like, just bursting through the defense to get that goal. That was, especially being in the building there, that was the big momentum changer. That's when, like, the Habs fans went quiet and the Leafs fans got loud.
Well, I can understand why. You know what I mean? And what happened? What happened on the play? So we might as well combine this into a Montreal-Toronto report. Okay, what happened on there? We did not talk about the candidates for the Rookie of the Year. Of course,
Lane Hudson's up there.
Okay. Did you
maybe the leading candidate, depending on who you ask.
seems to be he's getting the role is going good for him right now, and everywhere I've been noticing and they've been saying. But listen,
he had an ugly night on Saturday though. -5.
Oh, not only that, I thought that Nylander was freaking King Henry.
On that goal, he certainly looked like King Henry.
Come on. How many times did I say that's guys, and I tell Serge this all the time. You're Serge, I'm saying he's got to learn to play that a little bit better. He looks more like a left winger out there sometimes than he does look like a defenseman. And who's his mentor?
Well, his line mate is Matheson, your buddy.
And look what goes on when they get out there. Matheson's still delivering pizzas. How long has the guy been in the league? He did a brutal one the other night when they were on there. One of the out there, and Matheson, and what happened? Bad goal by Montembeault on Matthews. But look who was on the ice and who was. That
was also just a rocket of a shot. And it was a brilliant tic-tac-toe play between Matthews and Marner.
Okay, and how did the play get started? Matheson throwing it. Oh, guess what? Who did you throw it to, you dumbass? And Hudson spinning around like a top in front of the net with guys just pushing him out of the way. And I know it was a great shot. Goalie's got to stop that one. He had a clear view to it. He fanned on the shot. Come on, Matthews. That's who's shooting the puck here. I'll give that credit. Montembeault should have stopped that because that was a dagger. Mm-hmm. That was a dagger. That's when then the ice shifted immediately after. Bad enough with the Nylander play, but the shift in the ice was like, you were there. You're live, so you could feel it in the room.
Oh, it was nuts. It
was awful.
It was great for me.
No, it wasn't. And you know what was?
No, it was great for me.
Okay, I'm going to put it in this way. I don't even want to remember that day because we will get to this in a minute. Why it was one of the worst days of my life. Okay, so
luckily Michigan won the next day. Otherwise, it would have been a rough weekend.
It would have been brutal. But let me tell you, as you can see, and you can tell to the general public what I'm looking at. I had the Habs there,
and Detroit there. Just around the time, if you look in real time, when Jared Goff made that fumble. Oh.
And when the goal was scored against
the same time.
My God. It happened within moments. I just reached for the bag, pulled out the papers and said, I'm getting nervous. Right at the same time, they both happened. And you know what? I got a chill. My whole body went, oh no. Because it was 3-0. I almost text you.
Yeah,
I said, I'll wait a little longer. Let it get a little bit deeper before I text Andrew. How are you liking the Bell Center tonight? I pushed the phone over there. Didn't look at it for the rest of the night. Phone went nowhere.
So a couple things I forgot to mention about Bell Center. So one, the building itself isn't that nice. I was a little bit disappointed. I'm like Scotiabank's way nicer.
Oh, 100%. I've heard that.
Even before the renovations. Yeah. They had women with Molson aprons with tambourines, helping the fans cheer. I'm like, this is the most French thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, 100% French, 100%.
But it was cool. One of the girls who was by our section, she was going back and forth with a Leafs fan. By the way, Montreal, all the fans are very kind, so I'm not gonna
Great, good to hear that.
Out of all the cities I've been to, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal, great fans. Pittsburgh had the rudest ones by far.
Oh, American, deep in America.
But Buffalo, Detroit.
They're all blue-collar cities. Yeah.
Detroit, Buffalo, there's a little bit some you stinking Leaf fans, whatever. But it was in good fun though.
Yes, yeah.
Pittsburgh, there was some vitriol going out the building.
Oh, I bet you.
It was oh, fuck you, Leaf fans. We were better than you. I told them have fun missing the playoffs, but either way.
Okay, and you drive down the street. We just had that despicable display of the Philadelphia fan punching the Leaf guy.
Philly fans are the worst.
That's what I'm saying. We'll get there, so it's going to be down there. But I'm glad to hear that it was a good hockey environment.
Oh yeah, everyone respected each other. It was a good time. I was going to say too, when the national anthem was playing, I was getting honestly a little bit emotional
because you feel the energy.
Because you're Saturday night, Toronto, Montreal. I'm holy shit, this is happening.
Okay, and you know what? Every broadcaster that I heard anywhere said about the energy in the room at the drop of the puck could have drove us.
Amazing.
Yeah,
they
said the atmosphere alone could have generated a city.
Yeah,
and then to have a game like that, woo, it was
and for it to go night and day. The first period, I was just hating my life there, especially after the Anderson goal. You're what the fuck was that, man? Okay,
so you know what?
But at least I kind of saw I was cautiously optimistic because I'm okay, Berube's gonna give him a tongue lashing between periods.
3-0 worst score.
Exactly. We're scoring hockey. We can agree on that.
Okay, 3-0 worst score. You know what it reminded me of? Because you're a movie guy. You know what it reminded me of? Did you ever see that movie Dusk Till Dawn?
Yes.
That's what that
And
hockey
like halfway
game,
through it just flips.
goes, "See, what happened here?" That's what in my brain I had.
We're a vampire movie now.
Yeah, like what happened here? That's
Yeah.
the feeling I had watching that game.
Funny.
Like I was watching Dusk Till Dawn. This movie's intense. This movie's crazy. What? What? You want some pussy? I got purple pussy. I'll buy some pussy. And all that. And I went, oh, it was obviously, I will rank it as one of the worst nights for me personally in the history of sports in my 65 years on the planet.
We'll get to the reason why later. And also Joseph Wall, big shout out to him.
Oh my God.
A couple of those saves were like, how did that stay out? How did that stay out?
That's the punchline. Everyone sees 7-3, they think it's a wipeout game. No. What saved you guys was Wall in the first period. Should have been 5-0.
I think each period he has spectacular.
In the third period when we made the thing he made the save on, was it Doc or Slavoski? In the slot, that would have brought us back there, and then you guys went ahead there. But we had a glorious chance. He made the stick save and the glove save. I'm going, oh.
No, I feel so incredibly lucky to go to that game. The first time the Leafs score 7 in Montreal since 1942.
Jesus was a baby.
And the first time they overcome a 3-goal deficit ever in Montreal.
Yeah. All the metrics
like,
just made me go freaking nuts. But I'm really happy to hear, and just take it one step further, very few NBA games this year have drawn that intensity. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
Now, you get some games like when Montreal goes to Boston or Toronto goes to Ottawa, you still get those. And I'm hearing now like the LA-Edmonton games, when those two seem to hook up,
I believe that.
They're starting to heat up, you know what I mean, because of the rivalry the last couple of years. So it's great to know we're past mid-season now, and we're talking about the level of play, the quality of the refereeing, the competition of the games is making it for a much, much satisfying season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, let's get to the real deal here. Montreal Canadiens are a playoff contender regardless.
Absolutely.
What I will give my Habs credit for, we had the Rangers the very next night. I was scared.
And they're another team that's finding their way again.
Okay, but I was scared because a loss like that against a team like Toronto on that, because I always say, what rivalry is there? Montreal, it's only geographical. I should just shut up because it is a bigger rivalry. I should play it up the way it is. I just don't like to because we don't play enough in the playoffs. However, what I'm getting at is that to have that intensity at this time of the year is great. And what happened is we lose that game. We got New York the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we do now? Oh, we showed some mettle. You know what I mean? It showed we had some muster. So that's why I think we looked a little flat against Detroit. Because after those two games and what we had to go through.
High intensity, original 6.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, original 6 against Detroit too,
But we got 3 games in a row for us, which is kind of interesting scheduling. But I think we got caught being a little bit flat against the Red Wings. The Caesars crowd was live. Because, Montreal and Toronto go to Detroit. You've been there. That's live crowds there, too. Which
awesome
is,
crowd.
Which is a really nice thing to see in the league. But I'm really happy because I did predict this. I said we would play meaningful games in April.
Yep.
You told me that get off the weed. But we're here now.
No, I'm having to eat my words there. I'll admit that.
But you know what? I'm going to say this again, and this is what the Leafs stopped theirs. Even though you're the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Montreal Canadiens or the Columbus Blue Jackets or the Calgary Flames, no one can afford to have a 3-game losing streak right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Or if you do have a losing streak, you better steal a point overtime loss. You better
or win your next 7 or something,
or do something, because you just look at the standings. Look at how tight it is. You know what I mean? Tampa Bay's not out of the woods yet, but they have games in hand, so I think that they should be able to.
It's gonna be a Tampa Florida first round,
which would be great.
I think it's gonna be Toronto Ottawa first round.
Oh, that would be good too. You know what I mean? Well, that's not saying
it's been a long time since we've had one of those playoff series.
I had a dream. Can I tell you what it was?
Absolutely.
Guess who plays in the first round?
Toronto, Montreal.
And Montreal wins in overtime in Game 7 at Scotiabank. Yeah! I'd feel sorry for you guys. I would feel sorry for you guys. But you're hearing it first at the House That Happens. Nostradamus Cruz is saying, give me a Game 7 overtime win for the Montreal Canadiens at Scotiabank. Why did I just feel?
Go back to sleep, old man. That's what I say.
Did that just made me feel fuzzy for a minute? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be just some. Serge, you hearing me? You agreed. Heard it here first.
You don't have Carey Price and Shea Weber, unfortunately, anymore.
We got the guy that the kid's going to start.
Oh, Matheson, right?
Matheson, who is not that street down there where the 905 play? That's Matheson, right? Yeah, Matheson Street. It's right over there.
I thought he was your best defenseman.
Listen, guys making money. Do something out there. Come on, you seen him live. You were there.
He had a better night than Hudson.
When we started this, we just got Pittsburgh. When we started this show, and what did you say about us getting Matheson? Okay, so it's come to fruition, okay? Unfortunately, you had the right...
Penguins fans were not the big... and Panthers fans as well when he played there as well. There was a reason why he was quickly out the door there.
I was pumping his tires, was getting here on, he scores. He moves the puck. Yeah, he moves those pizzas around real good. Ask Nylander, ask frickin' Matthews. In any event, I'm just happy where the Habs are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. It's great that all 7 Canadian teams are in or around the playoffs right now.
And it would be amazing if all made it. Because we want to own hockey.
I think could be 5 or 6. I don't think all 7, especially like Calgary and Vancouver. I think it's going to come down to one of those teams. I don't think both of them can make it.
That might be the name of the show. We own hockey.
Let's do it.
We're there. Hazy B, you hear us? We own hockey.
So we're over 218. We should get into our
final thing, which I don't want to talk about. We had to get to this eventually, didn't we?
Yeah. So want to get to our picks?
Oh, yeah. Get the picks first, right?
Colorado at Boston. I'm going to take Colorado to steal it on the road. I think they're excited after that trade.
All day.
Buffalo at Edmonton. I'm going to take Edmonton to defend home ice. Probably an obvious pick.
What's the over-under on that in goals? 6.5?
I have no idea.
Doesn't it say there beside it?
No, I just have a spreadsheet with the games.
Oh, okay. In any event, send me my results because I don't have them all written down. But I'm definitely taking Edmonton, and I might bet that as an over game.
Okay.
If it's 6.5 because they're going to win like 6-1, 6-2.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
Pittsburgh at Seattle. I'm going to choose Seattle at home.
That could be the worst game of the night or the best game of the night. You know that, eh?
Yeah, I know.
But I'm going to take Seattle.
New Jersey at Montreal. I'm going to take Montreal at home.
What do you think I'm taking?
Toronto at Ottawa. I'm going to choose Toronto to steal this one on the road.
Me too. And I want them to win to keep pushing Ottawa back. So notice I bet against Pittsburgh. Notice I bet against Ottawa. Okay.
Well, Pittsburgh's not making it.
Okay, this is the pattern.
Tampa Bay at Detroit. I'm going to choose Detroit to win at home. I'm guessing you're going Tampa.
No, I'm going to take Detroit. Who's farther behind? I know. I think that Detroit's going to win tonight. They need the win.
LA at Columbus. I'm going to choose Columbus to defend home ice. They've been on a roll lately.
I kind of agree.
I think this might be their first home game since Ohio State won.
I think it is too. So there'll be a hype in the room. And like you've been saying, LA's a little sketchy on the road some nights.
Yeah, they don't have a great road record.
No, that surprised me. After they had that beginning of the season, they had all those road games, and they came home just over 500. I say, hey, this bodes well for them. But now, where are we at?
I think they're a 500 road team.
500, but that's basically because they banked earlier.
Sure.
You look at their last 10 games on the road, and I think they're well under 500. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Dallas at St. Louis. I'm going to choose Dallas on the road.
All day. St. Louis is done.
Calgary at Minnesota. I'm going to choose Calgary to steal this one on the road.
Really? Yeah. I'm taking Minnesota because they think they're going to do more. Minnesota still thinks they're going to get ahead of Dallas. That's their shot. They're not, you know what I mean? They don't think they're not going to catch
I'm waiting for Dallas and Colorado to pass them, but.
Okay.
Carolina at the New York Islanders. I'm going to choose Carolina.
Yep. Is Rantanen playing tonight? No, I think they get that 3-day or 48-hour. They can go play right away.
I imagine he wants to jump in the lineup. I'd be shocked if he's out.
I have to check left wing lock. Is that what it's called?
Or daily faceoff.
Or daily faceoff, yeah.
Washington at Vancouver. I'm going to choose Washington to steal it on the road.
Me too.
Well, even though they're not high on your power rankings.
They're number 3.
Not high enough.
They're number 3. I thought I gave them a Winnipeg love this week.
Nashville at Anaheim. Nashville's on a little bit of a roll, so I'm going to choose them to steal it on the road.
No, I'm saying that Dostal will have a night and frustrates Marchessault and Stamkos. Okay. I love that goalie. Is that the guy Dostal plays in Anaheim? I love him.
Although Gibson's playing well as well, I guess.
I think
so he might get the start.
A bit of a tandem. Yeah, I should check that first. Well, I'll still take Anaheim. I love that goalie, though, man. Love him. And you don't get any press because
he plays for Anaheim.
But I'm one of those guys that's up watching the late games. I saw Serge the other night. Like, okay, go ahead. And
last but not least, Florida at San Jose. I'm going to choose Florida on the road.
I'm saying San Jose to steal one, Celebrini get the goal in overtime to win.
Okay.
That's my call. Before we leave hockey, I'm just trying to tell people this is how entertaining hockey is, okay? You turn off the basketball game because it's supposed to be a good game. It's Phoenix and Dallas or Phoenix and whoever, and you go, this is a game because what's the other game on? Oh, it's Anaheim and San Jose. Oh, gee, I guess I should watch the basketball game.
Yeah.
Because that looks like, okay, so now it's the going into the third quarter, and I've had enough of the basketball game. Let's go see what's happening in Anaheim. Next thing you see, Celebrini making a great play, the guy on Anaheim, the kid, and you just see, and it's like what? It's tied and they don't score another goal till like 7 minutes into the third period. So the intensity of game has gone up and you go, why didn't I watch it from the beginning? You know what I mean? So it's interesting. Like those West Coast games can be entertaining.
Sure.
You know?
And I should mention as well, last week you beat me 9-8. So we are now tied on wins, but I have the tiebreaker. I think I have 8 more overall picks than you.
Okay.
But the week before that, we were both awful. We were both 3 for 15.
Because I remember I was being a clown trying to pick all those games, and I'm watching them. The first game I picked was because remember I said one of the games I sent to you was on TV. By the time you left, I think it was a Boston game, and I picked against them. They were up 3-0.
Yeah,
you wouldn't even get home, and I'd already lost. I said, "Oh, that's a good sign."
All right, so we'll move us on to our final segment of the show. It is the NFL playoffs.
First question I want to ask you: do you, as football people? I like things on a historical basis. So I'm not a fan of the team. Everybody knows that. I'm a fan of the quarterback. I'm a fan of the coach. But I really think that people should stop saying they're having Kansas City Chief fatigue because it's just reminding me.
Oh, the hate's ridiculous.
I think it's getting worse than it was at the height of Brady and your New England.
I agree.
It's starting to get worse than that. Why? Because they win? Because they're good? Because they're great?
One of my profs at Humber actually had like a scathing comment about Mahomes. He's like, this guy's an embarrassment. He's like the worst play. He doesn't belong in the league. He's soft. I'm like,
who is this guy? Bring him in. I mean, that's a punching bag from the cloud that comes on in the spring. Boom. Wait a second here. How many commercials is Patrick Mahomes in?
I don't know.
More than 2?
Probably.
Pretty good actor in those commercials,
Sure.
Isn't he? Oh, guess what happens on the field sometimes? Got to do a little acting. Okay, let's get to the chase on this. Okay, I will agree. We'll talk about the thing in there. Okay, get back to it. We should talk about all the results going there. Like the first week when we had the playoffs, everything seemed to go the way that we thought it would be. Last weekend, I have to.
Well, not really, because our picks, the wild card weekend, so first of all, I should mention for our picks so far, we've been exactly the same.
I know.
So, and like the first week, wild card, we were 3 for 6. Last week was a little bit better.
I took the Rams, though, didn't I, against Minnesota?
We both did.
Yeah, we both took the Rams. That was.
But we promised we picked the Chargers, we picked the Packers, and we picked Tampa Bay.
And Tampa Bay, yeah, that's right. So we all got ugly there. In any event, it's gone on to last weekend, and so I'm gonna get to the bugaboo in the room. Yes, people, I was extremely disappointed, and I told you it was the worst date of sports in my life.
I was shocked because after the Leafs Habs game, we went to like a little bar just to get a bite to eat, and I saw the score. I'm like, in Washington, it was like 31 whatever at that time, and like Washington was just about to score another touchdown. I'm like, no, like, come on.
I'm gonna say this, and it's no excuses, so Dan Campbell had some tears in his eyes at the press conference. I still want to play for the guy because that just tells you the emotional intensity that he brings to a game. Okay, and we were supposed to win that game.
I would also say too, so some Dan Campbell highlights came across my feed. Guy played like he coaches.
What's that?
Dan Campbell.
Oh, exactly. You know what I mean? And he was there on the 0-16 team.
Yeah.
Remember all that shit. I know who Dan Campbell is. He was a beast.
Yeah, no kidding.
He didn't have all the skills in the world, but he
was a big guy that wasn't afraid to run over you like a truck.
Oh, no problem. With his head down, he looked like 1942, going like that, because he didn't have great speed.
Right.
But he was a big boy and great blocker.
Sure.
In his day. So I would play for him any day of the week. First thing I want to say is that it was extremely disappointing, but as me and my brother, Joe, if you're listening, we text back and forth the thing. The only thing we said before the game was this, and I've mentioned this to you. Detroit has a horrible time against running quarterbacks.
Yep.
Okay,
I thought of that immediately.
Okay, they have a horrible time against running backs. our back end of our defense is susceptible to shit. And guess what? We bushwhack Minnesota, but you don't get away with that every day. So the injury factor eventually caught up to us. Yeah. But the worst thing of it, and we got to live and die with it, is that we have one game with that many turnovers all year. One game that we've had that many turnovers. Why do we got to have it in the NFC Championship game?
Division game, yeah.
So to make a long story short, when you look at the highlights, look at the games again, I don't want to blame Jared Goff too much, but he made a couple of bad decisions.
Yeah, people were calling him Jared Goof.
Oh, the worst one I say when we're going down the field, like after we've had the fumble. Okay, now we're driving again, and he had Laporta for the first down, but he went for all the enchilada and threw it up and aired it out. Got picked off. That's a crucial mistake. And then, as you pointed out, and then everyone keeps reminding me of, gimmick plays are going to get you eventually. And Jameis Williams should not have thrown that ball.
No, he shouldn't have.
So all the things that got us there, all the things that we were susceptible to, and any team is to, all snowballed in one game.
Yeah.
I'm going to add another factor that people weren't talking about enough. Washington killed us on special teams. In this respect, everybody boots the ball out of bounds. You come out to the 30. All day, Washington short kicked the ball and trapped us inside the 20. People don't bring that up. That's a significant part of what's going on there. Number two is, what was I going to say about remember how we say when teams say, let's go for fourth down, and they suddenly want to be badass like Minnesota tried it against us and they failed at us? Oh, by the way, who's the second most going for fourth down in the league after Detroit? Washington.
Oh, that's true.
So guess what? When they got up there for their fourth down plays, they weren't uncomfortable with that position because they've been doing
it all year.
All year long. And so guess what happens? When they got their fourth downs, they converted a couple, which was their average. Detroit didn't. Okay, so the law of averages caught up with Detroit too, and a team that was not afraid to go. Because I've noticed that teams that don't go for fourth all the time and they get a hard on against Detroit, they screw it up. But when a team like Washington comes in and used to doing it, you get your results. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Very, very disappointing, but I think we're going to be back. Even I thought, the first thing is I thought Aaron Glenn might stay behind because Sheila Ford Ham did offer him more money. She didn't offer Johnson as much money, I heard, because he was going to Chicago, so it was like a fuck you if you're going to Chicago. Yeah. Division rival, shit like that. So the question is, how much will the coordinators affect us?
I don't think it's going to be huge. I mean,
I think they're going to rehire in-house.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's how they came up anyway. Aaron Glenn came up like that, and our linebacker coach is an Aaron Glenn acolyte. So it should work out. So and we've got all our players under contract, and we've got draft choices, and we got a little bit of salary cap room. So one thing people got to realize, and I've been saying this to you too, is that we will not be 15-2 again next year. I've already said if we win 11 games next year, I will be very happy. Look at the Matrix.
Yeah.
Who do we play next year? We're not playing the AFC South. We're playing the AFC North.
Oof.
Okay, so let's start.
That's going to be fun. AFC North going against NFC North?
Yeah, that's next year. So that already, nobody's sweeping those games.
No.
You don't understand that. And I think we also have to play the NFC East. Oh, gee. Mm-hmm. Look who's in the NFC East.
Philly and Washington.
Dallas is going to be
going, Dallas, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it from that perspective, you're going, you win 11 games next year in the NFC North, you're probably going to win your championship. And everyone's go, oh, they all had 15-game, 13-game win and all that shit. Check the Matrix, people, and you'll understand how football works. You know what I mean? It's pretty simple. But anyways, let's get on to some of the results. What did you think? Well,
first of all, I want to clean up a little bit of regular season stuff. We'll just do this, knock this off quickly. Malik Neighbors set the Giants record for receptions in a season. Also passed Brock Bowers for most receptions by a rookie, but Brock Bowers, of course, later on the day retook the rookie receptions record. Yeah. So, and he is looking like he might be the best tight end for the next 10 years in the league. He is a beast.
Oh, no doubt about it. And you know what the great thing is?
Big steal for Vegas in the draft last year.
Oh, huge. They were talking about maybe the best steal of. It's like when we got Laporta when we did.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think that Flowers might be a little better.
Bowers, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he might be a little bit better. My take on all that is I'm glad that we're bringing them up because there is other players that do play in the league.
Yes, there are.
Okay, so let's highlight them when they do something that well.
Mike Evans tied Jerry Rice's record for most consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons with 11. Automatic Hall of Fame for this guy, let's be real.
First ballot. Not only that is the fact that, like we talked about it, did we get to talk about it on the last show?
No.
About him getting the pass? Like Baker coming out and telling the boys, I don't give a shit. He needed, 8 yards?
Yeah, and they got him.
Fourth quarter at the end, I stood up and clapped. I mean, what does that do for a team? And a $3 million signing bonus. $3 million bonus, too. So,
Good for him. Aaron Rodgers got his 500th career touchdown, the 5th player to throw for 500.
Huge.
Jamar Chase, became the 5th wide receiver in Super Bowl era with the Triple Crown, catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns.
And it's happened second time in 5 years, hasn't it? Because Cooper Kupp just did it a couple of years ago. So it's the closest that it's come in the history of football, where like guys won the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't done like that till Sterling Sharp or something in the 90s?
Oh,
it was a long time ago since it happened, yeah.
And Tyreek Hill implies that he will leave Miami right after that final game.
Okay, in my note.
Little Jimmy Butler. I don't know what's with these Miami superstars.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase here. This is another thing I'm saying about the NFL. You better chirp this shit down and all these guys disrespecting their contracts, wanting out of town, saying all this shit. Your contract's not guaranteed. You signed for the money. You could have taken a little less money and stayed in Kansas City and you said it's all about my family. Well, you can't say it's all about your family now because you got the bag. So shut the front door. So what happens? Okay, he's had a little wrist injury. I seen his agent on, Drew Rosenthal. If I get caught in a room buck naked with an 18-year-old girl on the bed, I want him to defend me and tell my wife I wasn't really there. This guy will convince this was not what you see.
I think I heard the same interview.
I'm talking and I'm going, whatever.
Was that McAfee?
McAfee, yeah. Did you hear him? Oh, and he had this and he did that. I go, whatever trouble I am in, Drew, give me your number. I want to have it on my list quick. You can convince people of shit that ain't going on, which is a sign of a great agent. And at the same time, why I have my issues with agents. Tyreek Hill, listen to this. You had trouble in college. Everybody knew you were a head case. Andy Reid took you in the second round on a flyer. Kind of like not as bad as Aaron Hernandez, but I mean, this guy had a rep. He comes in. He does some bullshit when he's in Kansas City. They sit him down and they go, nice. They didn't Kareem Hunt him. Because Kareem Hunt was worse. But now look, he's back on Kansas City and he's being productive. So you decide to make that move. You get pulled over in a car. Bad move by the cops. But part of the reason why you had the situation,
he was being a dumbass too.
You got to add his dumbass factor in there. And now you're crying like a little bitch and say, I want to go somewhere else. I got 3 things to say to you, Mr. Tyreek Hill. You know what my 3 are. If everyone knows, I don't want to repeat myself, so I won't bring it up. That guy's a schmuck.
Yeah.
Come on.
For the MVP finalists, they came out. Josh Allen, Lamar among the top 5. Saquon, of course. Joe Burrow, and I believe Jared Goff was the other one.
Yeah, Jared Goff's in there too. Yeah.
But I think it's going to come down to Allen and Lamar.
Yeah, Saquon's in there too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think Saquon should win it, especially after last week. Well, the playoffs don't count.
No.
You see what we're going on. If I had a vote, I'd vote for Saquon.
Yeah. A few big coaching hirings, obviously.
Yes.
So the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, hire Mike Vrabel. I'm very happy with that.
Oh, and who's his OC?
Oh, yes. The visor's coming back.
It's coming back.
A bit surprising, but
I just heard he got a bad rap, and he's not a head coach. He's a coordinator.
Yeah, well, he had a couple of tries as head coach. It did not work well each time.
No, he's not Bill Belichick. You are an offensive coordinator, and Vrabel knows that. So I think it's going to work out very well for New England.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
The Jaguars fired Doug Peterson. There was a big hoo-ha about the new head coach there between them and the Tampa Bay.
What's going on with Jacksonville ownership? Is it just as bad as Carolina's, even though Carolina looks like they took a turn? I like the guy. I like the owner, Khan, whatever his name is. He's kind of a cool guy. I know more about football than him.
He's a bit of a wild card.
I swear to God, I know. Well, look what the interest is in the world. How do you get that rich? Okay, so you're in another galaxy, buddy, but let's sit down and you and I talk about football. And I'll bet you I could say, Same with what's going on in Tennessee.
Well, it's like him. He opened his mouth this year saying it was like the best Jacksonville team of all time. Okay, there.
Oh, and then he's sitting beside the general manager and questioned the guy's job at a presser.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Either way, the Bengals fired their defensive coordinator. Raiders fire Antonio Pierce. They hire Pete Carroll.
That's an interesting hire. Okay,
I think I like it.
Okay, now who are they going to get for their OC? And I heard that Brady's been in on that. Oh, not Cliff Kingsbury, but somebody else of his ilk. Anyway, we'll figure it out by the next time we're around. But
Saleh back in San Francisco is their defensive coordinator.
Great move.
Cowboys promote offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer to head coach. Of course, the Chicago Bears took your offensive coordinator, and the Jets took your defensive coordinator.
Yes, I think the Jets is going to be a better fit. In my opinion, you know how we always have that thing about some guys are coordinators and some guys are coaches?
Yep.
I'm leaning towards Aaron Glenn being more of a coach as opposed to Johnson, who will end up back being a coordinator like Cliff Kingsbury or something like that. I hope he's not. I hope he has a terrible time in Chicago, to tell you the truth. I hope everything goes to hell for him. I mean, come on. What division is he in? Get out of here. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's pretty simple.
Unfortunately, Deshaun Watson faced a setback in recovery after tearing his Achilles again, so obviously his future's in doubt. I'll be surprised if he plays football again, to be honest.
Oh, I think he'll come back after he's released and someone will pick him up on a flyer. Like the Russell Wilson thing, but 10 times.
How many games do you think he's going to play, though? Under 5?
I don't even know if he's going to play again.
Well, that's my point.
But he's got two more years left on this deal.
I don't think he's going to play any of those. I don't think he's going to play any games in those years.
What I think is going to happen is they're going to have to bite the bullet, do it Denver.
Yeah. It's going to be announced, or the Jets, Jaguars, and Browns are going to be the home teams in London next year for the games. The draft order is out. Tennessee number 1, Cleveland 2, Giants 3, Patriots 4, Jacksonville 5, Raiders 6, I guess, round out the top there. There's some rumors, whispers about a draft lottery coming into place.
I hope not.
Why not?
Because, first of all, I don't think that NFL teams really tank until week 18.
Well, there was a little bit of tanking this year, I think, which was the problem.
Talking Tennessee?
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe, but I think it's an anomaly. I don't think that they'll ever change it.
If it continues, I mean...
If it gets okay, that was kind of obvious. The other obvious thing there that has come up this year, and I hate to bring up the race issue again, but why didn't Aaron Glenn go and do a interview with New England?
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to be the token?
Yeah.
That's pretty sad. You know what I mean? And we've advanced.
Yeah, I mean, the Rooney Rule has some obvious problems.
Yes, it has. And you know, it goes back to how the evolution of how we talk in sports. I heard something the other day that just gave me a gas. Can you imagine this being the front thing in the newspaper? Just to bring up Jackie Robinson, who was a great, great athlete. He was a track and field star in college. He was a football star, and he was a baseball star. He ran for a touchdown and won a game. Because where did he go? UCLA?
I believe so.
Okay, anyways, he scores this touchdown, right? Here is the description in the newspaper of his run by a writer I'm glad is dead and gone. But he said, Jackie Robinson ran with the ball like he was carrying a watermelon running from his owner.
Oh, my God.
Can you believe
Jesus
that?
Christ.
That's just before a little bit before I was born. But imagine the audacity to be able to write something like that in a newspaper.
That's insane.
Like every day you're going to the newspaper and you're picking up the newspaper and you read, and this is what I'm saying. The reason I brought it up in context of the Rooney Rule, good idea, but, and we know but.
Yep.
We know but. Yeah.
Yeah, so back to the playoffs. So Houston getting the win as home dogs, basically, against the LA Chargers. The turning point in that game, I don't know if you saw the Nickelodeon stuff, but Jim Harbaugh was taken by the dirty bubble, and after that,
things went downhill.
You heard about that too?
Yes, yeah.
Funny how things work out that way. Baltimore getting a big win over Pittsburgh. They kind of let the foot off the gas pedal in the second half a little bit, but Pittsburgh was already down too much. They
couldn't come back. I think we're resting guys for the next game.
Looked that way. Buffalo, despite getting scored 7 points early by Denver, they come back and take that one 31-7. It was a great game.
Oh, no kidding. And you know what I think what that was? It's like, you know, when you're coming out of the locker room and you stub your toe going out and you got to retie your shoes. Okay, they're tied now. Because what happened? Denver never had a chance to score after that.
No.
Unbelievable.
They never even got close.
No.
Philly smoked Green Bay, and that was maybe
my
the ugliest,
biggest shock.
That was the ugliest game ever.
Everything that you said about that game was true. Penalties.
Oh, penalties
weather,
ruined that game.
Sloppy. Bad calls. I mean, not bad calls. Bad play calling.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just a mess of a game.
Jordan Love continues to be awful outside of Toyotathon. One of the weirdest streaks in sports. How can you explain that?
You don't. You know what I mean? Not just say, is there a karma element that goes through the galaxy that hits people at certain times? I don't know. That's just a weird one. You know.
And then Washington stealing a big win in Tampa Bay. in the wild card round. That was one where Tampa basically had that ball, like the game was in their hands, and they let that one slip away at the end.
Exactly. And you know what? That was my hardest choice because I almost took Washington in that because I knew it would be a dogfight.
Yeah.
Because actually, when you look at their schedules, Washington's played a tougher schedule than Tampa Bay. When you look at it from a seasonal point of view, so probably they were a little bit more weathered. And how many late wins did they get over the season with Jaden Daniels? There you go.
A lot. And they bank in that field goal to win the game. Like, you can't write that shit.
There you go.
And then last but not least for the wild card round, the Rams get the 27-9 victory over Minnesota in Arizona.
Easiest pick.
That was an insane game. It was insane because of just how stupid it was.
You know what? The big question is, and I feel sorry for the guy, how much money does Sam Darnold lose now?
Oh, those last few weeks a lot.
Okay, but so what do you do with him? Do you let him go or do you franchise him? I say franchise him. Because you don't know what you got with McCarthy yet, and if he sits on the bench for a while...
Yeah, but you drafted him, so you believe in him.
Okay, but he's still under the rookie contract. You had a nice run with Darnold. You don't want to upset the apple cart too early. So I'm saying, like, what you do is, and we haven't seen McCarthy yet. You know what I mean? You could be Trey Lance for all we know. So the bottom line is, I think it would be wise for Minnesota. I don't really give a shit what they do. I hope they lose every game. Come on, that's Minnesota. Another one of my, whatever. But the bottom line is... I think that the smartest thing for them to do, now that's still going to be almost $40 million against your cap, but you've gotten away with it the last couple of years.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean? And they've got a solid defense. My pick for defensive player of the year is that McKinley guy.
Okay.
McKinley guy, whatever it is. I think that he should be. I hate Minnesota, but that guy's unbelievable. You know what I mean? So I think they should, in my opinion, I would franchise him.
Okay. Kansas City beat Houston 23-14, the first game of the divisional round last weekend. Got, I guess, people hating Kansas City even more, saying that the refs were on their side.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase here. Houston, how many points you score?
14.
Okay, do you think you're going to beat, and you got a safety, whatever, you think you're going to beat Kansas City in the playoffs and Arrowhead scoring 14 points?
No, of course not.
Okay, so shut the front door. Now, was that an egregious freaking call? Thank God we have Troy Wakeman once again. Did you hear him go off?
Calling out the refs.
I've never heard that so much now. Like I told you, we were talking with the production meeting. Back in the day, you'd never hear announcers going off like that about they just go to commercial or duck it, whatever the case may be. But it was very honest to say it because I don't know how you're going to fix that. We talked about it earlier when we started the segment about Mahomes being a great actor. That stutter step on the sidelines. Guys should know because some teams don't hit him, especially teams in his own division. Yeah. They're used to it. They say, sometimes they just back off, get out of there. That's what they should do. You know what the guy's going to do and you still hit him? And you know Mahomes is going to do a 2.5 and a twist when you hit him. So come on, you know what I mean? It's your own fault. I don't have no excuse. I have no sympathy for Houston. It was one play. Cost you 15 yards. So what? And it was a game that you were losing at that time anyway. They just put the nail in the coffin. They probably would have scored anyway.
Basically.
You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking.
The other AFC divisional game, Buffalo coming out with that home victory 27-25 against Baltimore.
What a game.
Yeah.
Lived up to the rankings?
I think so.
Okay, so the biggest thing about the game was this is the legacy of Josh Allen and the legacy of Lamar. So do you think that Lamar should have taken some of the shit that he took after the game? Couldn't win the big one again. That's chasing him around. But Lamar's not the reason they lost.
No.
Took him a little while to get going in the first half, and he threw that horrible interception.
I think with Baltimore, though, it keeps coming down to play calling. Like, run the ball more, man. You have the greatest running back in the world.
I don't know what went on there either. I was very happy for Buffalo. I'm just saying.
Like, what? Like, say, Henry didn't even have, 20 carries, I don't think.
I think he had 20.
That's insane. Gotta give him at least 35. Come on.
No, you can't give him that many, but I got to give him over
30.
20.
Come on.
Okay, he's a beast. He's coming back. That's what they say. Back. I'm just saying this. I hope that Lamar's dick doesn't get dragged in the dirt all day because the one thing that he's got to shadow with now, all the credentials that he has had at this point in his career, any quarterback that has had those credentials has either won a Super Bowl or been to a Super Bowl. So it's going to be an albatross on his back.
For sure.
Because, if he does get to the Super Bowl and win one, he's going to be in the GOAT conversation or top 5 because it's for what he's done, right?
For sure.
That's what I'm thinking. But sorry, Lamar, it's not your turn. We're close enough to Buffalo that I'm happy that the Bills won.
And shout out to the fans of Buffalo for donating to Mark Andrews' diabetes fund after that.
What a class move by the Buffalo fans. Glad you remember to bring that up. That was really, really cool. You know what I mean? And I really feel bad for Mark Andrews. He's a potential Hall of Famer.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And to have that happen and to hear all the vitriol about him, I just went, oh, wow.
Yeah, it was sad.
You know what I mean? And now that we're getting to this point about these games, we got one game that we didn't.
Well, Detroit, Washington, we already kind of covered that.
Yeah.
And then LA Rams, Philly. Philly beat them 28-22.
I wish that game was in better weather. Took the Rams a little while to get their shit together, but once they did, they scared the hell out of Philadelphia, which makes me going to say this. Thank God the Phillies already lost to Washington once this year, because no team beats another team 3 times in a season.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that I'm for some reason, and I said it before, and I'm going to stick with it now. I said a while ago that I thought Philadelphia would be the team that went to the Super Bowl. Even when Detroit was rising there, I said the only team that I thought would go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you were saying that like week 11, week 10 that you were kind of getting scared of Philly.
They're going to be there. And I think that their defense is going to be enough to beat them because they've already seen Jaden twice. You know what I mean? They'll have some schemes for him. And those 7 Georgia dogs, they're going to come running. That front line on Philadelphia, there's not a better front 4 in football. I don't care. Kansas City, they say, is pretty good. No. Philadelphia's defense is A-list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they're going to beat them. And I think they're going to put them away in the fourth quarter. But the question is, Jalen Hurts' health. Again.
Yep. Well, I think a part of it, too, that people are kind of leaving out of is my God, I'm blanking. Washington's quarterback, Jane Daniels.
Yeah.
His ability to come back in the fourth quarter. If Washington keeps it close, I think they're going to win the game. If they can keep it close.
What's the spread now anyway?
6 points.
Okay, that's a big spread, but I still think that this is a time like Cinderella's got to freaking come to town eventually for Jaden Williams.
But I'm telling people, take whoever you just think is going to win this game against the spread. It's a big spread, but I think it's going to come down to that.
I'm taking Philly in the points.
Me too.
I'm going to take Philly in the points. Because the history says it shouldn't happen, but then again, everything happens one time in history anyway. Which brings us to the other game. I'm hoping for Buffalo.
I'm hoping too, but I think it's going to be KC. In their house, come on. 2 points, take them against the spread too.
Is it only 2 point spread?
Yeah.
So that's like a pick 'em game. If you pick against Kansas City in Arrowhead in January, you should. I mean, I'm not saying Buffalo can't win. We know that. Josh Allen could be Superman and pull this off. But we're talking Arrowhead, Kansas City.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. This will be one of the greatest sporting things that happen in my life if Kansas City wins a 3rd Super Bowl. This is
hands down.
This is mega. Will be the biggest because it's never happened in the Super Bowl era for starters. I mean, people got there 3 in a row, but nobody's won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this will be unbelievable. This will be as big as when Buffalo went to the 4th Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It'll be that big. Because okay, now they finally got a chance. They went 3 in a row. Nobody's gone 4 in a row. You got to get it now, Buffalo, and they got their asses kicked. And you know what? There's another really little thing that came out in the Detroit-Washington thing. The last time Washington got to where they are, who did they beat? 1991.
Oh, what would have been the Eagles?
Detroit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They showed that last week.
Yeah, and what was the score? 41-10.
Oh, wow.
That was one of my worst of my life. Because that was back in the day, too. So that's 91. So
would have been quarterback for the Lions.
Scott Mitchell. He's a bum. Left-handed bum.
You guys had Barry, though.
We had Barry. So what? They put 7 in the box and smacked the hell out of Mitchell. Couldn't throw a ball. He was a bum. Brutal. That was one of my worst losses in this because I've been following Detroit. I'm already a diehard back in 91. I'm already injected.
Of course.
Okay? So we haven't done anything really. We haven't even won a playoff game in my lifetime. We beat Dallas. Okay? The famous game we beat Dallas. Oh, you know who quarterback could have been Kramer. Could have been Kramer, who I like better than Mitchell. But in any event, I remember going to sleep that night thinking, oh my God, we're one game from the Super Bowl. One game from the Super Bowl. The game was over by the first quarter. Over. Wow. So Washington's there, and there's a big buzz. And you got to be happy for the Washington people.
Yes, those fans have had a rough last quarter century.
Ownership. Change your ownership. This is the epic example of you got bad management, you got bad ownership. I think that they want to freaking put Dan Schneider's head on a freaking thing and put it in the middle of Philadelphia Freedom Square just to let everybody know how, or in Washington Square, just to let everyone know what bad ownership can do to your team. Now, Con in Jacksonville isn't as bad as Snyder and all the bullshit that went on in the front office.
No, there was a bunch of other stupid shit that went on there.
Yeah, but that's just because
he was just an awful person on top of being an awful owner.
That's the combination. Con is not an awful person.
Yeah.
We know that. He's a good man. His business acumen is excellent. Football acumen, not so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, in any event, I guess we're on the score because we got to get out of here.
So we're on Philly and Kansas City against the spread.
Yes, but my most
continuing our streak of picking
so
every
it should
playoff
not
game
be
the
good.
same.
It shouldn't be good. In any event,
Last week we did good though.
Yeah, that was much better. My take on it though is I'm really, really hoping for Buffalo. I try to tell people all the time, I really don't cheer for any other team besides the Lions. Everybody knows that. I had to throw my phone in the corner after that game the other night, or the messages I got and shit. Thank you all, but I know we lost, okay? So you have to send those messages. In any event, what gets me thinking about Buffalo is because the fan base, their history, they're lovable. They're getting a new arena and they're not capping it.
I love that.
Yes, just keep on everything about Buffalo. What they just did with the Mark Andrews thing. Go Buffalo.
Yeah, that's a city that deserves a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm saying yeah. So I cheered for them all. Jim Kelly's one of my 10 favorite players of all time. Mm-hmm. I always cheered for Buffalo back in then. I'm going to be cheering for them now. And if they beat Kansas City, where does that put Josh Allen as opposed to Lamar Jackson?
Oh, it immediately puts him ahead of him.
Well, look at all you have to do is the one thing, and it always says it comes down to these big games. Look at Josh Allen's numbers compared to Lamar in the playoffs. It's staggering. Staggering difference. Just wins alone. What is Lamar now? 3-5?
Yeah, not that good.
No, and then all the 3 games is he won like the one they won last week when they played like a Pittsburgh. Their first round division game they win. What do they do besides that? And I love Lamar. But it's all about results.
Absolutely.
And the results said, you lost.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll move this over to our trivia segment provided by Steven. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Trivia question today is, Jordan Stahl scored a hat trick on Thursday, January 9th, making him the second player ever to record a hat trick at age 18 and 36 or older. Who is the other player?
Pavel Bure?
No.
He didn't play that long.
No, I don't think he played that long.
Okay, I got this one. Oh, it's 37? 18 and 37, right?
18 and 36 or older.
Okay, let me think about this. Steven, I'm going to get this. 18 and how old is Sid now?
He's got to be older than that.
No, Ovechkin couldn't score at 18 because Ovechkin didn't come in the league till he was
20.
Yeah, so okay, he's out of it. 18, and I'll say Pierre LaRouche.
Pierre LaRouche?
Pierre LaRouche. No, he didn't play till he was 20 because they couldn't get in the league then. So he wasn't 18.
Let's see.
Okay, so let's think around. Wasn't Sid.
No.
Wasn't Sid.
I'm going to say Sakic.
I'm going to say Patrick Kane.
Actually, no, Sakic probably wasn't in the league at 18.
But Patrick Kane was, right?
Yes.
And he scored a hat trick just recently or a little while ago, and he's over 36.
Yeah.
I'm going Patrick Kane. Am I missing a guy like in Buffalo? Could it have been like Gilbert Perreault, or am I thinking somebody in Quebec Nordiques?
I don't know. I'm going to say...
I'm going to go with Patrick Kane.
I'm going to say Brendan Shanahan, just a shot in the dark.
That's a good guess.
Answer. Jaromir Jagr.
Oh, how do we? I said I would have got this. I should have kept thinking. Steven, yeah, I should have thought about this a little bit longer. How did I not think of Jagr?
I don't know, me neither. I feel stupid, especially since we brought him up, how Ovi broke his record.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, as soon as the show's over, we're both going to stand up and go stand in the corner. Yeah, that's a stand in the corner moment for the house that happens.
So it's a big sports week. What's your game of the week? Where are you looking forward to the most?
I really don't know, except for the fact that I'm looking forward
Not Kansas City, Buffalo?
That's one of them. But
that's mine. Leafs sends tonight close second, but
there's a good hockey game this week. I think it's going to be, I think Edmonton's playing Vegas.
Ooh.
Or is Edmonton playing L.A.? One of those games I'm looking forward to. It's a late night game. I'll have to check the schedule, but there's a big game like that coming this week. So I'm really, to tell you the truth, before we go, next week we will start our first telling you about college basketball because I did win my first bet this year. I should be
Yes.
telling everybody about that.
A little March Madness preview.
Yes, we're going to be on our way there. And it's really the interesting thing now I'm going to be bringing up.
So are you thinking of there's Florida, Vegas on
Tuesday.
tomorrow night.
Oh, tomorrow night?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
That's one of the games. Yeah, because Florida's still on the West Coast trip. You're right.
Yep.
So that's probably the game I had circled.
And then LA goes into Florida too on what is that, Wednesday.
Another good game.
Yep.
Barometer for both teams. By the way, Stephen, that was a great trivia question.
Absolutely.
Great trivia. And how I missed that, I don't know.
Cruz, once again, it's an honor doing the show with you.
Well, we always say that. Radica, I'm glad you had a great time in Montreal going up there, even though the results were not what I wanted. Perhaps tomorrow, Stephen, I'm going to see you if you listen to the show because
You will be coming.
You will be sitting right here by 3 o'clock for a little bit of, what would you call it? Football R&R.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then? Anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
That's just about it.
I got to say one thing. Can we thank Stanley for not being the ruckus that we thought he was going to be?
He was a good boy today.
Unbelievable. Look, he's looking at us when we said it. Look at the tail as soon as you said his name. You're going to be going out very soon, buddy. Anyways, once again, it was great to do the show. It was a little bit long, but we haven't been here in 2 weeks, and I think the content was great. Thanks a lot.
I'm Andrew Milani.
My name is Cruz, and what do?
We keep the vibe alive.
I keep the vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.